Good afternoon, team. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. J24, I see you, boss. Man, my apologies. I had a doctor appointment this morning, man, and ran a little late. I know I missed out on a lot of things, man. I do apologize, low boy. I do see you coming through. I do look a little bit rough and rugged because I was, man, rushing and running, trying to get everything situated. I was making sure I came back because I didn't want to leave y'all hanging. So I am here, and I do apologize again. But had a doctor's appointment that took longer than expected. So again, I'm in the building. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. So let me go ahead and get everything set up. So right now, let me. Well, the only thing I'm gonna just go over real quick. I mean, we already passed this morning. The only announcement I'm gonna have real quick is I will be doing a trades talk for my members. I will be doing it this week. We will be going over a video lesson about the price rotations. Excuse me about that. So yeah, we will be going over that. So I will be having a video lesson coming up for my members. So y'all do get ready for that. So I will be gearing up for that this weekend. So I will be having that down packed. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the charts. Let's do what we do. Let's go. Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. So right now, team, as I came back, I see that we did get rejected after that PPI data. Did get rejected off of that 518 mark. We did crack that 516 all the way back down to 514. Basically, that was our channel. And as you can see, and again, shout out to you, little boy. Shout out to you, J24. As you can see, we were in a channel. In a price rotation from the 514s up to the 518s, and 516 was pretty much a pivot point. So as you can see real quick right here that 516, you can see that it rotated from 516 on up and rotated down from 516 on down. So as you can see right here, 516 was your pivot point where you go up towards the 518, and you have a pivot point on down when you go towards the 514. So right now, what I was keeping on watch was I was seeing that we was going to hold that 514 level, and as I can see, you can see this H pattern pretty much was going to lead to another leg on down because you could clearly see an H pattern here, an H pattern where that always leads to another possible leg on down. So as you can see here, let me draw that out for y'all real quick. About right here, you see that H pattern setting up right here? So normally when you get this, you get that leg on down to the next little level. Marty, what's up, boss? I tried to hit, I was trying to call you earlier, but everything already happened this morning. The move happened. So, and that's what I was expecting to happen. That's what I was trying to get with you about for that drop. But as you can see right here, you do see that H pattern right here. You do see an H pattern for the next leg on down, going down to the next level. Like I said, we can't, if those buys can't reclaim 514, we can see a possible channel from 514 to 512 that'll take us down to the next level. So instead of 516 being your pivot point, if we crack 514, that'll put us in a channel 514 to 512. And pretty much. King says. Sir King, what's up, boss? Oh, no problem, boss. Man, that's why, yeah, go ahead and do your thing, Martin. You're still my right-hand man. You know this. Come on now. So as you can see, like I said, 516 has lost that pivot point position because 516 was that middleman from your 518s, from your 514 was when you was in that channel. Now, as we do crack 514, that's going to move the pivot point on down at the 514 level. Right? So therefore, that'll put you down from 516, 514 to 512. So therefore, that'll make 514 back your pivot point because now 514 is a pivot point from 516 down to 512. So before we came down and started to crack this 514 level, if you keep on focus, 516 was your pivot point because again, you stayed above 516, you ran up to 518. You stayed below 516, you went down to 514. That was your pivot point. So again, if we do lose 514 and we don't reclaim this, that'll put us into a lower pivot point now to 512. So basically, 514 will become your pivot point of going back up to 516 and down to 512. So therefore, that'll go back to being your pivot point because that was a pivot point before. You remember that was Monday's tone and 518 was Friday's standard. And as you can see, we hit last Friday's standard. Now we're back to last Monday's tone. So we're back to 514. If they can hold this key level, that'll return back to your pivot point for the moment. So that can pivot from 514 down to 512. And if you hold up, you could go from 514 back up to 516. So keep that on watch because now at this moment, since we lost the pivot point of 516, now 514 is going to be your pivot point. So keep that on watch on how these buyers will try to hold this key level 514 now. And again, that'll now become your pivot point in a channel of pretty much a $4 channel of 516 back down to 512, with 514 being your middleman. So now, because again we lost 516, now we're back down to 514. So if we can if those buyers can reclaim 514 and push back on up to 516, then therefore 516 will become the pivot point again. But now that we cracked 515, we let that go. I mean 516, I'm sorry. Now we're back down to 514. Now 514 is back to being your pivot point. Now 514 again. If you lose 514, you have the possibility to move down to 512 now. Because now we done lost this area 518, 516. Now you have to move it down some. Now you have to go back down to the 514 range. Now 514 is going to be the middle, because now you have the overhead of 516 and your bottoms of 512. So now, if we do away with 518, we're going to do away with it for the moment. We're going to just focus on 16, 14, 12. So therefore now 16 is back being your resistance level, being back. So let me change that to red. So now that's back to resistance level. And now with 14 being back your pivot point, that'll be yellow. Now you can see it from from the old channel of 516, 514, and 512. And as you can see, if you stay on top of 514, you move up to 516. You stay underneath 514, you move down to 512. And you can see it's lining up right with that trend line, as you can see on this 180 chart. So as you come down, you have this bounce. You have a bouncing opportunity. Once you come down, you'll have that 512 that buyers may try to look for support at that level of 512, but we go even lower, because now you have you got rejected at this trend line. Now you're underneath it. So the next level would be to here. And the next level is lining up with that 512 mark. So we do lose 514 completely and they don't recover. We can see a possible fall all the way back down to 512, which you can see we bounced. That held as strong support. And you had a nice movement back on up. So now again, since we lost 518, and pretty much 516 is the pivot point. Now you have to use 516 as a resistance zone now. Again, 514 is your middleman and 512 as the bottom support. So now we have to move the channel down instead of up. Now, had we would have held 516 and that would have held that support, you could have made a new channel of 516 bottoms, 518 pivot point, your middle, and 520 as the tops. So right now, as we're falling, we have to move the channel on down. So now we have to go from 516, 514 to 512. So right now, the pivot point has shifted from 516 to 514. So now this is going to be back to the middleman all over again, which was last Monday's tone. So we go back, scroll back over. You can see right here, 514. That was on that Monday. That was that high. So,
has correctly joined the channel.
Turn it off. Let me go ahead and ban that. I don't need you right now. Like that user. So let me go ahead and fix that. But as you can see, that was Monday's high. Remember that from last Monday. So as we coming back, look where we at right now. Go back, yellow line. Look at that, 514. So as you can see, we're back to that old Monday's area of last week. So we're right back at 514. Now that has become back your pivot point. So again, if you can hold above 514, you'll have the possibility to move back up to 516. If you stay underneath 514, you have the possibility to move back down to 512, because now the pivot point has shifted on down because we lost 518 and we have lost 516, which is now pulling your pivot down back down to the old area. So now we're back down into the old channel of 516, 514 to 512. So as you can see right here, now 514 has returned back as the pivot point, the middleman. And again, you have basically an option. Like I said, if you hold above 514, you have the capability to run back to 516. If you continuously hold below 514, you have the capability to move back down to 512. So $2 up, $2 down. So we are back in that channel once again. We are back because, again, we lost 518, we lost 516. So we don't definitely keep this on watch to see if this level is going to hold again. And if we continuously get further downside, we will possibly see 512 right here, this trend line, where we could find a possible bounce, possible support, possible demand zone. So right now, 514 is fighting. And again, we lose that. You have the room to run back down to 512. So definitely keep that on watch. So how's everybody trading, man? How's everybody doing? Marty, how you doing, boss? Soccer King, J24, how's y'all trading? Did y'all make any trades? I did see the setup of this H pattern that we was going to start to get some downside coming up. Once we lost that 515 mark, back on down to 514. We lose 514, we have possibility to move back down to 513, down to 512 if we cannot reclaim 514. So as you can see, we may try to channel. They may try to hold this key level up for a move back on up. And the reason why I'm saying that is because don't forget, guys, we do have some huge contracts that's going to be expiring tomorrow. So I did update that. Let me go back to that real quick. Where's my contract setups, my summary? So as you can see right here, we do have 4 million out of the money puts that will be expiring tomorrow versus 909,000 in the money calls that will be expiring on the 15th as well. So tomorrow we will be seeing some type of price action movement tomorrow. So definitely keep that on watch. Again, you do have 4 million out of the money puts and you have 909 in the money calls that will be expiring tomorrow. So we definitely will be keeping it on watch to see what type of volatility kicks in. And as far as tomorrow, he says small red on a call, climb back up, the dump trade. It was pretty much choppy, boss. But that's what I was trying to call you about, Marty. This morning I talked to you about the price rotation because what I was going to tell you was it was a rotation from 518 down to 514. It was a $4 price rotation with 16 being your middleman, as we were just talking about with the 514 range. So that's what I was trying to get with you to let you know that once we lost 16, you had a small bounce, but overall, I can definitely see an H pattern that was leading back on down. And as you can see, that it looked like it is still setting up for some more downside. If we do crack 514, we do have the capability to move down to 512. And as you can see, we are still getting a little weak where we can see a possible pullback down to 512. So definitely keep that on watch. So we are getting some downside. So keep that in mind. And we don't forget about next week on the 20th, Wednesday, we do have the FOMC meeting that will be coming up. So definitely keep that on watch as well. So I definitely can see a little bit of slowing down right now as they're trying to probably get into lower areas for the FOMC meetings. So, but we will see tomorrow what type of squeeze we're gonna get tomorrow, as far as we're getting a squeeze on the upside or squeeze back down on the downside. So we definitely will be keeping that on watch because tomorrow we do have 4 million puts as far as contracts expiring, and we do have 909,000 calls expiring tomorrow. So we definitely will be keeping that on watch. And as you can see with the price, the amount, we do have way more puts expiring versus calls. So we're definitely going to be keeping that on watch tomorrow to see where the market is going to go. But right now, we are definitely seeing some downside. We did lose 518 and also 516, and we back down to 514. So again, with that being said, you have to look at it from a channel standpoint of 516, 514, 512. So 516 being your tops, 514 being your middles, and 512 being your bottoms. So definitely keep that on watch. Again, when you stay underneath 514, you do have the capability to move down to 512. So if we do get a pullback, do expect to see some type of demand zone, do expect to see some type of action, some type of impact around this level. I'm not saying jump in. I'm not saying jump in right at 512. All I'm saying is watch the buyers. Just watch the buyers' activity to see if they'll try to move in at that 512 range to try to hold up this level to rotate it right back on up. Because now, instead of being in a 516 rotation market, which is what I was going to talk to you about, see, the pivot points, and I'm going to go into full details because I got to say that for the lesson for my members. But basically, when it comes down to pivot points are pretty much rotations. So again, held you with a held at 416, you'd have been rotating from 416 up, 416 down, and if you notice, every time it's like a magnet. You leave from it, you come back to it. You leave from it, you come back to it. Now we have to look, we have to exit out 516 at the moment because we're underneath 516. So now we have to look at 514 as the pivot magnet / rotation. So basically what I'm trying to say is 514 now can be your rotator, can be your pivot point of a rotating up and a rotation on down. So keep that in mind. 514 is definitely going to be your pivot point as of now for a rotation again on up or for a rotation on down. But when you do rotate any which way, 9 times out of 10, you return right back to that price point. That price point is like a magnet. So with that being said, if you do lose, say we do lose 514 and we come down to 512, do expect a possible rotation back on up to 514. If we do pop on up to 516, do expect a possible rotation back down to 514. That is your rotation. That is your pivot point. So, Marty, that's why I was trying to get with you this morning to talk to you about the rotation. So, again, you could have been like, if we would have held 516, we could have rotated, held that mark, and ran back on up. But as you can see, we lost it because due to that strong selling momentum, we lost 18, 16, and now 14 here. So keep that in mind. Now 514 is going to be your factor. 514 is going to be your pivot point. 514 is going to be your magnet, your rotation at the moment. So you leave from 514 on the upside, you'll return back down to 514. You leave 514 on the downside, you'll rotate and move right back up to 514. So that's going to be your pivot point. So at this moment, we are keeping on watch because as you can see on how that pivot point is like a magnet, because as you can see that it is creating somewhat of a channel around it. Pretty much it's like a magnet because if you notice, it's consolidating around that price point, around that pivot point, because it's still in a decisive mode of going on up above 514 or staying below 514. So as you watch around this key level here, again, every time you leave 514, you return back to 514. You leave from 514, you return back to 514. You leave from 514, you return back to 514. Vice versa, same thing on the downside. You leave from 514, 9 times out of 10, you're going to return back to 514. You leave from 514, you're going to return back to 514. So he said, this stream always freezes on me, even on YouTube. Any reason? I never heard nobody else talk about that, boss. And it says, I'm going to have to check that out. I mean, everything else is running smoothly. Marty, J24, Soccer King. Hey, is the live stream freezing on y'all as well? Yeah, let me know if the live stream is freezing up on y'all as well, because Bottom Trader said he's having issues. Because I just want to see if I can fix it. I mean, to help him out. So, are y'all having issues on the live stream? So, Max.
Soccer King says, no.
Okay, appreciate you, boss. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, yeah, Bottom Trades. I don't know what's going on. Check the other platforms as well too. Okay, Low Boy said it's good. I mean, I do have the other streams up, boss.
Says, seems to me.
All right, seems fine to you. Okay, I got what you were saying. I got what you're saying, but again, Team Pet.
Marty's says.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Seems fine to me.
Yeah. So as I was saying, team, yeah, we did lose for 418. Now we're coming back on down to these key levels. So keep that in mind. 418 is still going to be a factor because that's still going to be till we return back to that mark. That's still going to be a factor later on down the line. But again, we lost 418. Just always keep that in mind. It's still going to be your tops. Keep that in mind. 416 is still going to be in play till we reach those key levels. Could we see a return back on up? It's a possibility. We could U-shape a cup and handle and see ourselves back on up to the 516s, 518s, and even higher. But at this moment, we are getting some downside. So again, that knocked that channel off from the 518, 516, 514. So remember, that was the old channel yesterday where we rotated from 516 on up to 518, from 516 back on down to 514. And as you can see, we lost 18 and 14. So we have to get rid of that channel and focus on this channel. Where we at 516, 518, 516 here. So we have to focus on this channel right now. We have to focus on this channel here. 12, 14, 16. And again, you're seeing that pullback coming. We do have room to run back on down towards that 512, towards that trend line. And you can also see it on my 184-hour chart here. Let me bring this on up so you can see it more clearly too. All right. Go back, right about here. So you can see
Stream Elements says,
oh, crap.
Enjoying the content?
Let me close that
Show
one.
your support by following J-Trits on all platforms.
Appreciate you, Elements, but shut up. But as you can see, we did lose that trend line. If we would have held that trend line, we could have had a possibility of moving back on up. But as you can see, we lost that trend line. Now we're getting closer back down to this trend line. Could we possibly hold? We could. We could possibly find some downside back this way for a possible bounce. However, when we do lose this area, we could crack all the way back down to this green line here. So right now, we're going to just keep on watching to see if these buyers will try to hold this trend line, hold it for a movement back on up, for a U-shaped pattern back on up towards this area. But right now, we do have the capability to fall back down to 512. Because now that we done lost 518, would have lost 516. Now you have to look at it from a $4 channel point, with 514 being your middleman. With AK, I can't stand you. With 514 being your middleman, again, you have the capability to run back up to 516, which is now resistance, and you have the capability to run down to 512, which is support. So as you can see, we are losing momentum. We are slowly pulling back down to where? 512. So keep that on watch. Keep that on watch. As you can see, there go your middleman. There go your pivot point. Again, we have the capability. You got a $2 standpoint on up and a $2 standpoint on down. You lose 514, you have the capability to move down to 512. So definitely keep that on watch. We are seeing some downside. And as I told y'all, we are on an H pattern, which that leads down to a further leg on down, which could be possibly 512. So definitely keep that on watch for that setup. So we are still losing a little bit of momentum. We are losing 514. Again, your next level would be 512 because you got to look at it from a $2 standpoint. And you know how SPY normally moves by twos. So the next area from 514 on down would be 512. So do expect a little pullback down towards around that 512 region. We are going down. We are around at 513. So might get a little bounce around that area, and we might come down even further to this 512. So definitely keep that on watch right now. But we have lost 514. 514 is resistance at this moment. So you have 516 and 514 is resistance. So once you lost 516, you're now losing 514. The next level would be 512. So as we do run back on up, you could go for a possibility of a put back up to the 514 level for they move back on down. So keep that in mind. So we will have a little bounce right back on up towards that 515 region. But now we're underneath support. You can see right here we bounced when we was on top of 514. But now you have to understand that we're underneath 514. So what was once support now turns into resistance, where you can get rejected. So we will see a little movement, possible movement back on up towards that area. And the way that SPY's been moving, and I've been noticing, it's been moving kind of like a 50-cent range, pretty much. So with 513 being a low area, we could see a move back on up to 513.50. If we do break above 513.50, we could see a possible. Say Meta. I'm about to check it, boss. We could see a break back above 513.50 on up to 514. So just pay attention and watch on how it reacts around that 513.50. Because you can see right here, we did have a little bounce right around that area of 513.50 here. Remember, old support can turn into resistance now. So as we trend right back up to that 513.50, let's see on how that's going to react. We're going to either get rejected from that mark now and a move back on down, or we can possibly break, hold, and run back up to 514. So keep it on watch real quick, team. We're going to keep it on watch to see, but we are getting further and further downside. You see a meta, boss? Let me check it out real quick while this is going on. Meta. Downside for sure. We're underneath the VWAP. How much room do we have to come back down to? 490-ish. 492 down to 490. So that bad boy is moving in twos. I can clearly see that around those areas. So definitely, if we do lose that 495, we can definitely come down the way back down towards this 492 mark, towards this little trend line that I do have set up. So it'll be around 492 to 490. So definitely keep that on watch. So as of now, I mean, the markets are going down. You know, the markets are going down. So if you are call buys, just wait for the setups. You know, don't force anything, because as I told y'all, we will have room to come down to 512. We have that capability, because again, 514. Nuno, what's up, boss? Hey, any trades? G Money, Gang Gradan, any trades on your end too, boss? G Money. I mean, everything is still pointing down. I mean, as you can see right here, we're on this H pattern, and you know what that H pattern is, because once you get that confirmation of that long red candle, that'll lead into an H pattern. So we done talked about this over and over again. It goes into an H pattern, you come down, you get this little arch, and you come right back on down to a lower leg. So as you can see that, I mean, that has proved to it. I mean, look, I mean, that setup is always very profitable. So if you do miss this opportunity on this pull down, wait for that pop back on up, wait for it to get around resistance where you get that hump, and that move on down. So therefore, you're buying more into the upper area, and your risk level is lower, and you have more of a reward than a risk. So if you wait for that pop back on up, and you're not trying to buy these low areas, do not get caught up in this area, because again, 514, you can have buyers move in this area. So what you want to do is you want to get away from 514, get into an area where you come back down to 514. So as you can see, 515 was the resistant areas because every time you hit 515, you come down. 515, come down, 515, come down. And as you can see, that H, that means this little hump pattern right here, boom, for a leg back on down. So as I was stating just not too long ago, we're going to see how SPY is going to hold up around that, that 513.50 back on up to 514. So let's see what happens, because right now it's resistance. I mean, no matter how you look at it. I mean, everything is still pointing down. Indicators are pointing down. Now for 514 has turned into resistance instead of support. Because when you was on top of 514, you bounced, you bounced, you bounced, you bounced, and bounced until you crack 514. Now you're underneath it for possible rejection, rejection, rejection for a further leg on down. So definitely keep that on watch for a possible next leg on down. So definitely keep that on watch, team. Keep it on watch, keep it on watch, keep it on watch. So 514 will be resistance at this moment because we're underneath that key level. So that can turn into resistance for a pushback on down, possibly to 512. He said, yes, sir, sitting on a put after the resistance that the VWAP still holding. Shout out to you, Nuno. Shout out, boss. All right, so you said VWAP. So you got in around the 515 area then. Okay, so you got in around 515, right where that arc was. That was a perfect entry. Perfect entry. Perfect entry right here. Perfect entry. Yeah, see right here, boss. You got in. Yep, you got in right here. This little level for that next leg on down. So that was perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. You nailed it. Shout out to you, boss. Shout out to you. So we definitely seeing some more downsides. Because like I said, we lost 516. Now we done lost 514. So now that's resistance. You get rejected from that. We can see another, again, a further leg on down to 512. So do be expecting that. So you will get a little run back on up to it, but now on the downside instead of the upside. So do be on mind and do be on watch out. Look out for that. Because again, you still have room to fall back on down to that 512 level. So let's see. Let's go across the board real quick where that bounce happened at. Boom, 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 boom. But your main area is around 512. Because you can see right here we had this nice little bounce and then moved back on up. And that was around 512. So I definitely can see some more, pull down towards this level. So I can't see that, which is not a bad level. I mean, because you can see where your buyers moved in and you ran back on up. So I can definitely see a nice pull back down to 512 for possible hold and bounce back on up. I could see that happening. So all we doing might be setting up for the next leg on down. So definitely keep that on watch. So again, don't get in on puts at these bottoms. Always wait for you to get back up towards areas that make sense around resistant areas. If you are going for a put, so you always want to go around areas that used to hold up as support that can now hold up as resistance. So we are getting into this area that's now turning to resistance, where we can turn back down to 512. So just keep that on watch. Keep it on watch. And as you can see right here, we have lost momentum even on the 180 chart. Right here, we have fell under that downtrend. This uptrend, all the way on down to this downtrend. To this uptrend. And you have room to bounce right around that 512 level. So you have room to come down this way for a possible move back on up, hold that key level. So keep that on watch. If it makes sense, it makes money, it makes dollars. Facts, active trader. Shout out to you, active. Shout out to you, boss. Shout out to you. I think he said around with 515, right? Yep, 515. Perfect. That was the perfect entry. Perfect entry. He got it right in at that hump. Right? He got in like right here. Let me stretch out so you see the prices. 515. You go across the board. He got in right at the best level. Right at the best level for that drop on down. That was about perfect. Perfect level. Right there, bad boy. Yeah, buddy. That's what I'm talking about. So you should have another little area. So he bounced around at 513.50. So it's going to try to run back up to this 514 level, but now on the downside. So do expect some possible resistance coming on up for a possible pushback on down. So definitely keep that on watch. Yeah, shout out to you, Nuno. So I know you banking. How many shares or how many contracts? Shit, 1,000 shares. Even 1,000 shares from 15 to 14, you banking. Because that's a dollar move right there. And then you're coming all the way down to 13. That's a $2 move. So I know you banking. I know you're banking. I know you're banking. Need to share some of that money, player. Yep, because that H pattern is still looking good for some more downside to come. So definitely can see it. Because again, You say one con. Oh yeah, that's still even good. Even one contract is still up. Yeah, that's all that matter. Man, money's money. So that's all that matter. That's all that matter, boss. Boom, boom, boom. Like I said, I think 512. We could see 512 possibly. Possible 512. So it's gonna take some time because we already got this little move here. So now it's gonna get ready for the next setup because you gotta wait for them incoming green candles to come in to set itself up. So yeah. And these are 30-minute time frames. Let me see how I look on the 15 to try to shorten it up just a little bit. Yeah, still look. Yeah, you can still see the H pattern on the 15. Yeah, you can definitely see that H pattern. Boom, 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 on down. There you go. You topped out right around that 15 area. You can see that top, top, top. And that was all she wrote. All she wrote. But shout out to y'all team, man. I had missed it, man. I was in the dang appointment, man, and I missed everything. So, and then again, tomorrow you got 4 million puts coming in tomorrow. So that's going to definitely be interesting. But as far as today, we definitely got room to fall back down at that 512. So we will get a possible candle going, trying to go back up to try to retest that 514. I mean, if not, it might continuously keep falling. So let's see. We might fall all the way down to 512 already before we even come back up to that key level. So it looks like they're trying to already aim for 512. That's what we're looking like. So Nuno, you banking. So if we ain't going back up, we're going straight down to 512. Boom. There it is. I told you. Woo, shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all. Boy, I told you. Low boy, I told you. Them H patterns, baby, that is the best setups in the world. When you're going down for puts and that you get that nice red candle, that signal, and then all you gotta do, again, if you miss that candle, don't get in on those bottles. Wait for that nice push back on up, for that hump to start making this little transformation here, and boom, right back on down. Man, that pattern never fails. I'm telling you, that pattern is a definite go-to. A definite go-to. You can't fail on this pattern. That's all you do. You wait, you see something like this, a dramatic move like this. All right, wait for the next setup. Boom, even lower. There you go. There you go. Back on down. I told you we might come all the way down to 512. 512. We're getting closer and closer. So Nuno riding that bad boy. Ooh, riding him. Soccer King, trade J24. Y'all in the spy? He said, I need my money today. So what, you gonna hold it down to 512, Nuno? Cause again, you got room to fall back. I mean, you got room to drop to this 512 mark. You definitely got room. Nice room to fall back down. So shout out to you, Nuno. Shout out to you, boss. That's what I'm talking about. All you gotta do is like wait for patterns to set up. Like, all you gotta do is wait for patterns to set up, and even when you're going through this, like, team, even when you're trying to go in for a put, right? And you're trying to go in for, shout out to you, boss. That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, like, even if you...
24 says, I'm in longer dated calls.
Yeah, longer dated calls? Yeah, so 515 was definitely a mark. So again, in order for you to stay out of this choppiness, all you gotta do is follow the pattern. Look at this pattern setup. That H pattern, that bull flag pattern, when you see this long red candle and then this arch, that H pattern, the halftime, that leads to the next leg on down. Especially if you catch up around this hump, which Nuno got in, shout out to him, around the 515 level. What happened? You got rejected at 515, and boom, you drop. Now you're all the way down to 512. I mean, that's what, $3 move damn near? Once you hit that 512, that's going to be a damn sure $3 move completely. But always keep in mind, Nuno, don't hold too long. I mean, make your profits, because remember, you have to keep in mind 514 is going to be your pivot point. Do keep in mind on that. 514 is a pivot point, because you get away from 514, you'll pivot right back to 514, whether it's on the upside or the downside. So even if it was on the upside, you'll pivot right back down to 514. Even on the downside, you leave from 514, you'll pivot eventually and go back up to 514. So basically, take the profits when you have it. Take the profits when you have it. Write it on down right now. Right now we're seeing a lot of weakness, but you will pivot back eventually to 514. So basically, that's all I'm just giving you heads up on that. So again, because that's like a magnet. Again, because your 514 is your pivot point at this moment. 516 was your pivot point yesterday, but today 514 is your pivot point for today. So basically, if you're looking for a possible call that could come up, wait for 512 for a pivot back up to 514. So Nuno already caught that bad boy on down, so he's already pivoting down, riding that, so he's good on the call on the put side. So if you're trying to look for a call opportunity, wait for a movement back on down towards these low areas where you have a trend line, you have the support area of 512 for your buyers to move in. Keep that on watch. Wait for that break, that pullback failure where they try to pull back down underneath 512 and it retracts back up to 512 for a move back on up. So just wait on those signs to show. So I getting a little bounce. I mean, nothing dramatic. I mean, you still got way more reds than you got greens. So even though you're getting a little push back on up, as I told y'all, we're gonna try to get a possible push back up to 514. And as I told y'all, 514 is your pivot point. You leave from 514, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna return back to 514. So it's like a magnet. It's gonna push right back up to it, whether it's on the downside or the upside. So do keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. So we are trying to get a little bounce right back up to it because I told you it's like a magnet. It's going to pull it. It's going to pull it right back up to it. Roy, y'all see you coming through, boss. I see you. I know you banked today. What you got? What you got, Roy? I know you made some cash today. I know you made that cash, man. Let me know. What you got, boss? Yep, so that pattern is still holding up real well, that H pattern. So, I mean, even though we're getting this little push up, now you probably be going on a next leg on down. So do expect another possible H to set itself up at 514 now for a possible drop back on down. So that is a possibility. Just keep that on watch because if you put all 4 of those candles together, that makes one red candle. So, here we go back. Let me see. Yeah, so you already got this H here. All right. Now you might be making another H where you come up to 514 now, get rejected for a push back down for 512. So just keep that on watch. That's a possibility. So that'll be your next leg. So you got one leg here, and you could be going on the second leg here and going back on down, which is creating a downtrend effect. So if you do this, basically you can see a downtrend effect. So let me move this line over. So, come on, god dog line. Here we go. So kind of a downtrend effect. You can clearly see that here and here. There we go. So next area could possibly be around that, let me see, up to 514, because that could be your next leg on down. So, I mean, I'll probably have to stretch it out a little bit further because we haven't hit it yet. So that was one leg. Now we might be trying to set up for the next leg because now we're underneath 514. And for that next leg on down, possibly to 512. Just a few bucks on Apple this morning. It's starting to move again. What we looking like right now? Because what was the area we called out yesterday on Apple, Royal? It was I had my alert set for 175. That's what I had it set for, 175. So we haven't came back up to it yet, but I do see a red to green setup. I do see it, and we are getting back on top of this VWAP. So now we have to take 74, because if you could break back above 74, that's going to turn into support later on down the line. So let's set up here. So you have to break 174 for sure. 174 is going to be an area you're going to have to break for us to see some more upside, because you got to break 174. All right, set that up 3. Boom, boom, boom. So yeah, you're going to have to re-break that key area. Run up to 476. Pull back down to 74, turn that into support for a higher movement. So that's definitely want to see that on watch, right? So keep that on watch, Royal. So again, you have to break that 174, hold above 174, and for the run up to that 176. Because the way that Apple's moving by twos. So 172, you bounced around 172. You need to break 174. You hold 174 up to 176. So if you notice, Royal, that Apple is moving by twos. So as you notice, look at your movements. Where do you get the bounce at? 172. Where do you get rejected at? 174. You notice that it's moving in twos, $2 as well. It's going by twos. So what'll be your next area once you break 174? 176, right? So that'll be your next area. So once you hit 174, again, when you break above it, your next target, no problem, boss. Your next target would be 176. Get a pullback from 176, turn 174 into support, move back to 176, break up 76 up to 178. So it's just moving by twos, boss. That's it. It's moving by twos. That's the easier way to keep keep it in mind. And also, just like I was telling everybody about SPY, how it has a pivot point, so does Apple. I mean, all stocks has a pivot point, an area where it can move around towards that area. So all you gotta do is find a pivot point on pretty much on Apple and figure out. So what was the pivot point on Apple? 170. So as you can see, you leave from 170, you return back to 170. You leave from 170, you return back to 170. You leave from 170, you turn back to 170. So now that we're moving on up, what would be your next pivot point, boss? Your next pivot point would be 172. Now, what you have to think about it from a channel. 172, 174, 172, 170. Now you have to move. That's how once you find out a good price point, all you do is trade off the pivot, right? You move off of the pivot. Because at one point, your old pivot was around 170. Because again, you move up on 170, you come back down on 170. You break down below 170, you move back up to 170. So that was your old pivot. Now, your new pivot possibly is going to be 172. So now if you look at it from that price point, because now you have to think about it. If you do get rejected from 174, 9 times out of 10, Royal, where's it going to return back now to? Since you got a new pivot point. Because you got to move it by twos. 170 was your old pivot point. Now you have to think about it in a new channel that we're holding up at this moment, right? So you have to move your channel up because now 170 is going to be your bottom, 172 is going to be your mid, 174 is going to be your top. So if you do get rejected at 174, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have a pullback down to 172. If 172 cracks, what's the next area? 170. It puts you right back into the old pivot. So as long as 172 holds as far as support, you move back up to 174. For the break of 174, what's next? 176. So that's the easiest way to look at it, boss. So look at it from a $2 channel standpoint and look at it by twos, look at it by even numbers. So if that helped y'all, boss, gotcha. I mean, you could clearly see how the stock reacts to these even numbers. Look at this, 174. Look how the stock reacts. 172. Look how the market reacts. 170, look how the market reacts. It's reacting by even numbers. It's going by twos. So once you find a good pivot point, you can trade off of that pivot point. So say for instance, okay, you knew 170 was a pivot point and it ran on up. Okay, go for a put back down to 170. If you're seeing it leave 170 back on down, then go for a call for a move back up to 170. So that's the easiest way to do it. So as of now, your main pivot point, possible pivot point, we can move it. So what was used to be 170, all you're going to do is take that old pivot point, let me duplicate that, and your new pivot point should be 172. So let's move that up. We're going to just put it, I'll just put it yellow. Boom, 172. So now you see how it pivots around that 172 range? You know, you go on up from 172, you return to 172. You go down from 172, you return to 172. So that is your pivot point from 74 back down to 170. So that's another easy way. So basically, as it goes up, you just move your pivot points. So say for instance we do break out of 174 up to 176. All you do is take that old pivot point of 172, you move it up to 174. Now you use 174 as your middleman. Now you're gonna have a movement from 174 to 176 on up. And if you crack 174, you have a movement down to 172. That's all you do. You just move your pivots. You move your pivots up or down, depending on the direction of the market. So that's it. Look at your pivot point. 72, 72. We're running on up, 74. So keep that on watch. That's going to be your top as of now until you break 174, run up to 176. Then all of a sudden, all you have to do now is move the pivot point from 172 to 174. But yeah, if that helped y'all, boss, I got you. All right, back to SPY. Where we at? Yeah, I mean, but you got to think about a team. All stocks have a price point that it pivots around, that it rotates. Every stock, blue chip, whatever the case, is always going to have a rotation in some cases. Yesterday, what was the rotation on SPY? You remember, 516 was your pivot point because why? You rotated from 514 from 5.8 to up to 5.18, and what did it rotate between? 5.16. So that's all you have to do. Now that we lost 5.18, you move your pivot point on down. So you move it from 5.16 down to 5.14. Why? Now because 5.16 is resistance, we underneath 5.16. You have to move it on down. So now you have to think about the rotation in between the resistance and the support. Where is your possible support? 5.12. Where is the possible resistance? 5.16. What is in the middle of that? 5.14. So you have to think about a channel rotation over and over and over until you break above 5.16 or you crack below 5.12 and you just move your pivot. That's it. All the markets does, every single market, every single stock, all All it does is rotate. It just rotates between price points. So don't make it difficult. Don't get caught up in the chop. Focus on the prices, price actions. That's it. And that works for any stock. That's it. Tesla, Apple, Amazon, Meta, SPY, anything you can think of, Nvidia. They all have certain price points that it rotates in between. That's it. Now y'all get it? Now y'all see how easy it is, so y'all don't get caught in chops and chaos. Now y'all know what to do. So in other words, when we are in a dead zone, don't get antsy and want to jump in a play and just wait for setups. That's all you do. Wait for setups. And as I told you, what was the pivot point today? 514. Where did I tell you it might return back to? 514, because 514 as for us today is your pivot point, because 514 has the capability to run up to 516. 514 has the capability to crack down to 512. You have to think of it in a $4 channel in twos. If you hold 514, you can run up to 516. You crack 514, you have the capability to run down to 512. And as I told you, in your pivot point is like a magnet. You leave from it, you return back to it. It don't matter if it's on the upside, it don't matter if it's on the downside. As you can see right here, where would it come down to? 514. Every time we leave from 514, where did we return? 514. Same thing here on this pullback. Where did we return back to? 514. That is your pivot point. That is your magnet as far as today. So, again, that's the easiest. Once you find a pivot point, it helps you as far as trying to get in on a put or a call. That's about the easiest way to do this, team. So basically, if say once you figure out what your pivot point today is, okay, say if you knew today your pivot point was 514, right? So if it leaves from 514 on the upside, then you know to set put, because 9 times out of 10 it's going to return back down to 514. Just like if we crack it, we leave 514 on the downside, get back on a call, because 9 times out of 10 you're going to rotate back to it. All it is a rotation. It's a rotation up and down around that pivot point. You pivot up, you pivot down. That's it. But you're rotating around that same number over and over. Just like 516. Where did you rotate at when we did have it? 516. You rotated around 516. You rotated on the upside, you rotated on the downside. But no matter what direction that SPY went to, it always returned back to that pivot point. So same thing as for us today. We lost 518, we lost 516. So what do you have to do now? You have to move your channel down. So we did have a setup yesterday from 518, 516 to 514. We lost 518. So what did you do? And we lost 516. So what did we do from that point? We moved the channel down. We do away with 518. So now you have to look at a channel from 516, 514 to 512. Your middle area is 514 as far as today, until the market makes a decision on where it wants to break out of 516. Well, then, therefore, you can move up the pivot point, or does it want to crack 512? Will we move it back down? Will we move it down from 514 to 512? Because if we do crack, say for instance, we do crack 514 and come down to 512, and 512 cracks. Now you take 514's pivot, move it down to 512's pivot, because now we're in a lower channel. Now you have a resistance of 514 now. So 514 is resistance. 512 is your middle pivot. 510 is your support. All you gotta do is focus on the channel rotation. That's it, between those areas, until that stock or SPY itself breaks out or breaks down. If it breaks up, you move your channel up. You move your pivot up. If it cracks down, then you move your channel down. You move your pivot down. That's all you do, team. It's not complicated. It's not complicated at all. And you can use that same method with any chart or any stock that you are accustomed to. Like again, Tesla, Apple, Amazon, no matter what it is. Just like what me and G Money were talking about. G Money was talking about Meta. All you gotta do is find out what is the main area on Meta. What is the pivot point? What is the main price point that is left and came back to, where it has cracked but came back to? Find that one price point and you just play the rotation. Play the rotation. That's it. All the market does is rotate. That's it. The market is a rotation. It's just a rotation device. That's it. All it does is rotate. You rotate up, you rotate down. So I hope y'all got that. You know. Plus I owed y'all that little lesson too, a little quick lesson, because got in late. So hopefully that'll help y'all out for whatever stocks y'all are trading at this moment. No, he said all out at 513. Shout out to you, boss. Like I said, all you just had to do, you was as I told you, you was gonna get a pull back to that. I mean, a push back up to that 514 level, because that's your pivot point. As I told you, it's gonna test it. It's gonna test it, but you have to also remember it's testing on the downside. So we could get again a rejection. We could be building another H pattern where you are getting rejected at 514 for moving back on down. So keep that in mind. So we could be setting up for another H pattern, because we are in a downtrend market right now. We're in a red market. So it could be setting it up for another H pattern. I can show you right here. It could possibly be setting itself up. So yeah, we're gonna have some pushback up, but it can possibly be setting itself up for a possible H pattern on down again. So just keep it on watch. We'll see where we go. We're gonna definitely keep it on watch to see. Because yeah, you're gonna get these little push-ups, but you gotta see if it gets stuffed. Kind of like that around that 515 mark, Nuno. Watch out 514. Let's see if we get a break and hold above it. Do we get a break and hold above, or will we get stuffed at 514? So we're going to definitely keep it on watch to see what happens. Because right now, you got to remember, we're underneath it. I mean, indicators are still moving down. VWAPs is moving down. Everything's still pointing down. You're on a downtrend. I mean, again, it could be setting itself up for another H pattern when you going on your second leg on down towards 512. So definitely keep that on watch. It could be setting up for another pattern, for another H pattern. So keep that on watch, just like we did here. We had a strong little bounce, but we got stuffed at 515, and look what happened. Here came the arch, and we came on down. Same possibility here. You can come up, catch the little bounce on up where you get stuffed for a nice movement back on down. So just keep it on watch. It's all about just watching the patterns, team. Queen, how you doing, Queen? Queen. Shout out to you. I already know you did. You killed the market today. I already know you did. I know you did. So we're going to keep it on watch. Like I said, we hold above it, we can see a possible move back on up where your rotation begins. So if your buyers are starting to step back in at 514, holding that key level, we can see the rotation from 514 to 516. If not, we can get stuff back under 514 and continue on down to 512. Well, what happened to Queen? What happened? You tried to get in for a call, didn't you? Oh man, I mean, we all make mistakes. I mean, I done been there too, Queen. Trust me, especially when you. That's why I put out. I try to tell people to watch out for the certain patterns, especially if I see a long red candle. I put it like this to you, team. When you first see a red, it don't matter even if you see a long green candle, but definitely for puts, because I know puts is a little bit more trickier. I know it is to try to catch. Amen to that, active. So look for a clear sign. If you get a massive red candle at the beginning. Okay, that's your confirmation. After that confirmation, don't jump in at the bottom because you're not trying to catch a falling knife. Don't do that. What you do is, and you also have to understand, it's not about just watching the candle fall. You have to ask yourself, as it's falling, are you looking at the price points as well? Okay, where could it fall to and where can it rebound to? As I told y'all, SPY moves by twos. So when I seen 518 get rejected, and I seen 516 get rejected. Think about it. All right, 518 got rejected, 516 got rejected, and you're thinking about it on a put side. Where's the next level, right? What's the next level to fall to? I want to see y'all answer this because I want to see if we're on the same page. I mean, I know where it was at, but I want to see if y'all know where it was at. YouTube guys too, y'all too, can y'all answer this, right? To give y'all an idea. So say for instance, in order to avoid you jumping into a falling knife, and getting caught in a bad trap and getting caught in a movement back on up. As 518 got rejected, 516 got rejected. What was the next level? Think about it. You got to think about it by twos. We were in a channel yesterday. What was the next level that was going to fall to? What was the next level? Nope, not 5. Exactly, Marty. 514. 514 because you got to think about it in twos. You was right too, Kato, with the 20s, but I don't. Honestly, I don't count the change. I ain't gonna lie. I don't count the change to after the movement. So if you think about it by twos, you lost 518, 516, the next level right here, 514. So let me move this on up too. I think I accidentally bumped that price up. Sorry about that. See? 514. So don't try to catch a falling knife or don't try to get in on a put thinking it's going to fall down further. You always got to remember. And not just that. What was 514? Nuno, Marty, what was 514? You got to keep that in mind too. What was that? What was 514? Because you always got to remember the past. To never forget about the past. What was 514? What was 514? It was exactly turned into support. But also remember too, Marty, that 514 was Monday's high of last week. So if you go back, all the way back, Monday, where you at? Boom, 514. You see it? So 514 was an old resistance that could turn into a possible bounce to a possible support. So that Monday, oh wait, is that the right Monday? I think I'm on the wrong Monday. Wait. Where was the date? Monday. Yeah, right here. So you can see right here, old resistance. Remember, that was the high of Monday. Remember that? So you look at that yellow line. We're going to go back across. 514 was last Monday, right? Old resistance. Let's go back to now. Could possibly turn into possible support. Now you see that? So keep that in mind. As that was, so why? And I'm talking about to the put guys, like don't chase. If it's coming down to 514, don't chase. If you miss that long candle, wait for the next opportunity. After you miss that red candle, what normally happens? Okay, what normally happens after a big red candle? We just talked about this. What normally happens after a big red candle? What does it normally forms? What normally takes place after a red candle? What do we look for when we see a huge red candle taking place? What happens? Yeah, a reversal, but I'm talking about the pattern, boss. The pattern. After we get confirmation on a huge red candle, what normally do we look for after that? What do we look for? After that, we see that red candle. Because the pattern never fails. 9 times out of 10, you get a good pattern. So that avoids you from buying to the tops. So if you don't, if you're going in for a put and you miss this opportunity, okay, how can you determine the next opportunity to get in for a put is what I'm saying. How do you determine to get in for a put after that? Do you jump in with your fingers crossed hoping a red candle is going to form? Or do you wait for that formation to take place? What is that formation? What did we just talk about? You missed that red candle. See, you missed that red candle. What happens after that? See that H pattern? See that hump? Your resistance comes into place. So you wait for that bounce and you wait for that stuff because 9 times out of 10 you're going to go in an H pattern. What does that H pattern lead to? A leg on down. So if you miss this point here, if you miss that first drop and you want to get on a put, wait for this area here. So what you're doing is, because you're buying at the area that's getting stuffed, you're getting rejected, which is causing an arc to form for the movement back on down. So that's basically what you do. You wait for those key patterns. It's always, anytime I see a long red candle, and I know I missed that candle, I don't even chase. Now what I'm doing is I'm waiting for that setup. I'm waiting for the bounce, and I'm waiting for that stuff. Then I'm getting around these areas for a possible arc back on down, because your risk level is much lower, your reward level is much higher. You're not buying in at the bottoms, getting caught up for a bounce back on up, getting pretty much squeezed out of your position. If you go wait for those buys to come back in, and then those bears to trap basically for the bears to set up a bull trap. Set up a bull trap in these areas. You can see right here, trap. What happens? You start to come back on down. What was that key level? Around 515. Because you bounced off of 514, but then you bounced up to 515, get into these levels, and boom, back on down. So that's another way to catch it. So that it avoids you from chasing. So now that we are breaking the back above, keep this in mind. What area are we back above now? 514. So we do catch. Now we have to keep in mind to see if these if the bulls are going to try to create a setup where it's going to be a bad trap, where they're going to turn 514 back into a support level. So definitely keep this on watch to see if they're going to try to hold this level now, since you didn't cracked it and reclaimed it. Now we're back, and as I told y'all, you leave from 514, which is your pivot point, you return back to 514. I told y'all that is an important area until we move up to another area, whether it's on the upside or whether it's on the downside. As far as today, 514 is your pivot area. 514 is that magnet. 514 is that very important, crucial area because you hold 514, you can run back up to 516. You crack 514, you can run possibly down to 512. So you have to look at it from a $2 standpoint on up or a $2 standpoint on down. So as you can see, we did come down. We didn't go all the way down to 512 at the moment. I mean, like the low 512s. We came down as low as 512, 76. So we did still see 512. But as you can see, we rotated right back to 514. So if we hold 514, you have the capability to rotate to 516 because you are on top of 514. Now, if you would have stayed underneath 514, you have the capability to rotate back down to 512. All it does is rotate between these prices within that pivot point. You have the rotation movement of 516 down to 512. So you can rotate up, you can rotate down, rotate up, rotate down. It's going to rotate around this area until we either break out or crack down. So as long as we stay in this box, in this price point, 516, 512, it's going to rotate in between this pivot point of 514. So you have your tops, you have your bottoms, you have your pivot point where you rotate in between that price. So keep that in mind. So you run on up. If you don't break it, 9 times out of 10, you'll rotate, come right back on down. Vice versa. You come on down. If you don't crack it, you have the opportunity to rotate right back on up to where 514.
Toro Gang Raid says, BA for long.
BA. Oh, but is that boring again? Boring. Boom. Where we at? 518. Yeah. Rejection. Looks like it's going down right now. So the next, it seems like it's going down by. So you got rejected at 86. You got rejected at 85. So it's like we're still downtrending. Because it's like you keep losing price points every single time. Because you lost a price point at 86. You lost a price point at 85. Looks like you lose the price point at 84. So it's like you're going back down this way. So the main thing we need to see is we're going to see a bounce area where we can hold. So I'm trying to figure out how's it moving. Is this moving by 2s as well? Or is this moving by 3s? Because let me see, you bounce, but you lost the support area, which was at 82. Because you need to get back up on 82. So it looks like 82 is going to be a pivot point, G Money. Because you can see right here, you come down, bounce, you bounce. So it seems like 82 is going to be a pivot point on this stock here. So 82 looks like a pivot point. So let me put that in yellow. All right, and 82. 82 looks like a pivot point. Put that in yellow for the moment. Boom. Because you came down. Anytime you're above 82, you leave 82, return back to 82. You crack 82, you return back to 82. So we know for sure that that's a pivot point for sure. Now, we got to look for tops and bottoms between this area. So 84 for sure, and then 80. So let me see, it almost look like this.
I am looking for very long call.
Yeah,
September.
so let me make a duplicate of this. So right now, 82 is definitely your pivot point. So that means 84 is going to be your top until you break that and go back up to 86. So let's keep that on watch here. So 84 will be your tops. And then we go down $2 from that point. That means 80 will be your next area. So let's duplicate that for the support line of 180 to this key area here, back down this way. So you are on a pivot point. I mean, you do have this channel. Because if you do stay on the 182, you do have the capability to come back down into that 80 range. Yeah, so pretty much, boss, G Money, you need to get back above 182, back up to this 184, because you can see right here, look, 86, because you see right there it's moving by 2s, because you see where your rejections are at, 186, 186, around this 186, like mainly around 186. So it seems like you're coming down to that, but you're underneath 184, so you definitely got to get back above 182, 184 for the push back up to 86. So right now, at this moment, you definitely need to get back above 182. Because you can see anytime you're above 182, you bounce, you bounce, you have nice movements back on up. So if you want to go on a long G money, the best thing to do is get above and hold above 182. 182 would definitely hold above that level. Next after that, you hold above 182. Your next challenge is going to be 184. Get back above 184. You got the capability to run back above 186. So it's definitely moving by twos. So yeah, 182 is going to definitely be your pivot point, and your tops is going to be 184, and your bottom is going to be 180. So definitely keep that on watch, boss. But yeah, 182 is definitely going to be your focus point that it needs to get back on top if you want to see some more upside. So yeah, 182, because if you don't hold 182 and it continuously shows weakness, you have the capability to fall back down to that 180. So as of now, G Money, the main thing is to get back, is to hold 182. 182. Gert, good afternoon, boss. Who else came through here? Champ, I think I see Champ. Champ, good afternoon to you too, boss. I see you come through. All right, where we at right now?
Gang Raid says, thank you.
Yeah, no problem, boss. And as you can see on Spy Guys, you see what I mean? You get back on top, so you got to focus on your pivot point for today. Don't mind, I mean, I know I got all these lines, but focus on the prices. 416, 516, 514, 512. You stay on top of 514, you have the capability to rotate and go up to 516. You're underneath 514, you have the capability to rotate down to 512. So as you can see, we are holding above 514. We back on top of that key level. So now you are in a focus point of 514 to 516. That is going to be your focus rotation as of now. You're going to rotate from these key levels until you either break out or return back to 514. So keep that focus point in mind. Just to avoid all the confusion, the choppiness, and all of that, your main focus is the rotation. Since you're on top of 514, is the rotation of 514 back up to 516. That is your focus point. As long as 514 hold on the upside, you have room to run back up to 516. This is going to be your focus point. This is your pivot, 514, and up to your resistance mark as of 516. So as long as you hold 514, this is your focus. 514 to 516. Focus on that. Keep it that way. What is a good entry for SPY? Like I said, as long as that 514 hold, you'll have between, as far as the support, you'll have the 514 to 514.50. Because if you don't come back down to 514, you might see some possible movements in the 514.50. But, Jenna, what you want to do, the first and foremost thing you want to do before you do anything, before you jump in anything, you have to see, even the indicators. Watch your indicators line up. And main focus is stay on top of that VWAP because you want that VWAP to turn into support. So right now your VWAP is at 514.72. So you can hold that VWAP. That'll take you from underneath it. They'll take you from under this old resistance and put you back on support. Where therefore your indicators can move in and help the VWAP. And not just that. Now if you look on the 3-minute time frame, now your 50 has moved back down. See that? Because before, if y'all think about it, while I was getting these pullbacks, look at where your 50 was. Your 50 was on top. You kept getting rejected. 50 on top. You kept getting rejected. Now look at the crossover. Now you're above the 50, which is now helping you as far as support. Now it's at the bottom doing this. So definitely keep that on watch. So even though we're not seeing it on the 15 on here, look at it on the 3-minute. Look how far you came from being rejected this morning off of that 50 alone. Look at this. Look where your 50 was at. It was above your head. Rejection. Rejection, 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 rejection. Now look where we at. Look where your 50 has moved down to. Now it's at the bottom again. So now it's going to hold as a base as long as you stay on top of it for a possible move back on up. So keep that on watch. So you have to watch the setups. You're trying to get back on top of the VWAP. That's a good thing. That means you're trying to move back up to the upside. So as long as you're not underneath that VWAP anymore, that VWAP can turn into support. Your indicator that can help the support level, your 9 and your 20. For the move back on up. And as you can see, look at the movement. Look how we was underneath the 9, the 20, the 50. Look at the rotation. Look at the crossover. Look at this. Now your 50 is at the bottom where it needs to be as far as support. Now it's moving back on up. Now we could possibly see some volatility move in as far as on the upside. 514 is holding because we haven't cracked it. It was a failed pullback. Now you're back on top of 514. So now you have to focus on that point still. Now, could we see a possible rotation of the channel? We could. Because now, as long as 514 hold, you do away with 512 now. Now, again, if you can continuously hold 514, now we go back to moving our channel up. Now, 516 can go back to the pivot point of 514 bottoms, 516 mid area, pivot point to 518 top again. So as long as 514 hold, we can do away with 512 and actually start to rotate the channel back up this way. So again, your main focus right now is 514 to 516. And the reason why you're going to focus on 514 is because you want 514 to hold, because that area holds power, because that was last Monday's old resistance now turned into support. So again, if you go back, look at this yellow line with me. Let's scroll back. Yellow line. We'll go back to last Monday, where we at? Boom, right here. Monday, old resistance, because that was Monday's high. Remember that. Because remember, last Monday set the tone of 514, right? Friday set the standard of 518. So therefore, if you hold on to the tone and the standards, that'll put you back in that channel of 514 to 518, because all you're trying to do is recreate a new price value. As long as you hold 514, okay, now we can focus on getting back to 518, because all we're trying to do is break out of the old standard and create something new. We want to break out of 518 and want to see 520, 522, and so forth. But the main focus to make that happen is we have to hold the floor. The floor is 514, because again, that was Monday's old top. So when we go across the board, where are we at now? Let's go back. Yellow line, yellow line, yellow line, yellow line. We're on top of it. So now that has turned back into support, because the bears have failed to pull it back and hold. What happened? Buyers moved in, reclaimed 514, turning that back into what? Support. So as we go back here, look on my 180 chart. Now that the candle is green, now you're bouncing and holding on 114. Now you have the capability to move back up to 516 and back up to 518. So keep that in mind. So as long as that is holding 514, your main focus, now you want to move back up to 516, where therefore 516 can turn back into your pivot point, because you get back up to 514, you get back up to 516. Now again, 514 becomes your support, 516 becomes your pivot point, the mid area, and 518 goes back to the top as far as the resistance area. That'll put you back in this old channel here. As you can see, tops, bottoms, because now your bottoms is holding. So now we're gonna have to reverse the channel once again and go back. As long as this area holds, now we have to turn this back green, because if this area holds, that's gonna turn back into support. That's gonna put us back into the old channel. And this yellow line, we're gonna put 516 as the pivot point. All right, and we're gonna keep 518 as the top. So that's gonna put you back in this channel of 518 top, 514 bottoms, 516 middle, pivot point. Again, you break above 516, you have the room to run back up to 518. You stay below 516, you have the room to run back down to 514. That's putting you back in this channel. And now that'll possibly turn this back into your pivot point. So as you can see, we pushing. See that? Look at that. Your bottom floor is holding now. Now you get that massive value coming in. Now you're above the VWAP, trying to aim right back to where? You're rotating right back to 516. Rotation. 514, 516, 518. You notice the rotation? So as long as you're holding that area, you're going to rotate right back up to the old pivot point, 516. And where is it rotating to? 516. Look at the rotation. 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 See that? You leave 516, you return back to 516. You leave 516, you return back to 516. So you notice the rotation is doing that around 516. You notice that whether it's on the upside or the downside, 516 is still in play. You're rotating up, you're rotating down around where? 516. So look at the rotation. Look at this. 518. And we can, like I said, just ignore this area because we're back on 414. 518. 514, but where are you rotating around? 516, pivot point. So keep that in mind. So now that your buyers are moving back in, let's go back here. Look at the rotation. See that? 516, right? You rotate up, you rotate down, you rotate up. You can possibly rotate down around where? 516. It's a simple rotation up and down till you either break out to a new area or we recrack 514. So while we are still in this channel, you have to focus now back on the old rotation. Now that we didn't reclaim 514, now that's back to support. Now we're back into the old channel, 514, 516, 518. As you can see, we back in the old channel. Look at this. Back in the old channel. Look. See that? We reclaim 514, 514, 514. Now we go back into our normal rotation between 518, 514, with 516 being the middleman, being that pivot point. So again, now that we reclaim, where is it going to return back to? 516. So, but yeah, that's easy. But yeah, I mean, Gert, all of y'all, I mean, Jenna, Marty, I mean, my whole team, Queen, all of y'all, that's all you have to do to avoid all the headache, avoid all the confusion. All you had to do since last week was focus on the tone, which was 514, focus on the standard, which was 518, and focus on that rotation in between that price point. That's it. That's all it's doing. 518, 514, 518, 514, 518, 514, until it breaks out of 518 and create a new high, or we crack 514 and go back to a new low. As long as you stay in that box into that price point of 518, 514, all you do is focus on the rotation, with 516 being the middle man, because that's what I was going to return back to. You're always going to have some type of activity, even before we even get back down. I mean, we had a straight solid shot back on down here. Yeah, of course, because we had that strong movement. But other than that, what does it normally do? You return back, you'll normally see activity around where 16, and then you might get a pullback down all the way to 514. But before you go straight down, you're always going to have some type of activity going on at 516. You're always going to have an activity around that middle area first before you either bounce back up or you crack back on down. So if you notice that, the only time you got a straight shot down was here, from 518 straight to 514. Other than that, and that was just due to economic data. But when it's just a momentum day, you'll normally have a pullback and then some type of activity around your mid area. You come back on up, and then you may get a crack down to the bottoms. But if you notice, you always return back to your pivot point. You always will leave from that pivot point, you'll return to that pivot point. You leave from that pivot point, you return to that pivot point. You leave from that pivot point, you return to the pivot point. And all it does, you just move the prices. You just move the prices up or down depending on the direction that we're going, pretty much. So, okay, say for instance, we stay above 516. Okay, I'm gonna ask y'all this, because I want to see if y'all gonna catch on to this. Okay, say for instance we get back above 516, right? And we turn it to support. Okay, would it be your next pivot point? Let me see if y'all can answer that. Would it be your next pivot point? If we break and hold above 516, what is your next pivot point? And why? I know what it is. Exactly, Marty. Shout out to you, 518. Because what it's doing is moving the channel up. Because now 516 becomes support, 518 becomes the middleman, the pivot point, and 520 becomes your top. And now you're focusing on the rotation between 520 to 516. Boom! See, you catching on, Marty. You got this. Now you getting it. You got this, man. Why didn't you call me directly this morning? Oh man, Gert, don't do that, man. Don't try to put it on me. But Gert, we didn't win over the pattern of the long red candle. You should know what comes after that. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna get that hump. You're gonna look for an H pattern. You know this. Come on, Gert. We didn't win over this time and time again. You should have that down packed by heart. You should know this. But yeah, Marty, you are absolutely correct. 518, because the prices are going up, you move your pivot up. So right now, since we haven't moved up and we're kind of in a consolidated mode, you have to focus on a channel that's right in front of us. What is that channel? 514, 518. Why are those numbers important? Because that was last week's standard and last week's tone. So we go back again. We go back to last week. What was Friday's standard? 518. What was Monday's tone? Let's go back. 514. So if you think about that, let's go back this way. That's why those particular numbers are so important. 518, 514, because that was last week's tone and standard. So now that we're holding above Monday's tone, the next challenge is to get to Friday's standard. What is Friday's standard? 518. So what are we trying to do with that tone, that standard? we're trying to create a new standard. What is the new standard? Preferably 520 to 522. That's creating a new standard. So that's going to be the focus as for right now. Again, we're back in this channel. 514 bottoms, 516 midpoint, pivot point, 518 tops. Rotation, 518, 514, 518, 514, 518 until we either break above 518, which was Friday's standard, or we break back below 514, which was Monday's tone. So until then, this price area will be very important until the market makes a move on up or back on down. So to avoid the choppiness and the headaches that y'all been going through, focus on 518, 516, 514 until we crack below 514 or we break out above 518. So 3 prices to focus on, team. That's to help you. So, and we are going back up to 5. Okay, all right. I'm trying to help y'all as much as possible. Okay, I'm just trying to help y'all. If we run up to 518 and don't break out, where are we going to return back to? Marty, don't you answer that because I know you know it. I want them to answer because we already know you're on top of your game. I want them to answer. If we go up to 518 and don't break out, Marty, don't answer it. If I want them to answer it. If we go up to 518, I hate you, Marty. If we go up to 518 and don't break, where is the returning price, team? I want y'all to answer. Marty already, he knows it. He's on top of his game. I want y'all to answer. Whether it's, I don't care if it's G Money, J24, Soccer King.
Soccer King says 516.
Shout out to Soccer King. Exactly. Marty, stop that. Yeah, shout out to you, Soccer King. Soccer King said it, 516. Exactly, 516. Because you have to understand, you are in a rotation from 518 to 514. But before you go down to 514, what will you encounter first? 516, because that is your pivot point. That is that mid area. So you're going to have some interruptions at 516 first before you continue down to 514. Vice versa. Yeah, just like if you're at 514, before you get up to 518, 516, because that is your middleman. That is your pivot point. That's just like, okay, and we move up, and we go from 516, 518 to 520. Now, instead of 516 being a pivot point, 518 becomes your pivot point because 520 is now your tops, 518 is now your middle, your pivot point, and 516 is your bottoms. So all you're doing is doing a price rotation from 520, 516, 520, 516. But what's in the middle of 520 to 516? 518. So all you are, and that's all you need to focus on, because I know a lot of people, what I'm trying to do, y'all, I'm trying to get y'all, to get away from the choppiness, to get away from the clutteriness, to get from all of that, all the noise. It's just by focusing on 3 price ranges at a time. That's it. I mean, I understand y'all, you get impatient, you want to trade so bad, but wait on the setup. Because had you would have been focusing on this channel here today, 3 prices that I've been talking about all week, once we got this pullback, all you had to do is focus on whether you're going in on the call. If you're going in on the call, okay, wait for the 514 bounce. You ran up all the way to 515.50. 515 was 50 cents away from where? 516. That was your middle, right? 516, you could have got in, got out, cut that off, all right? Because you don't know if you're going to break 516. But as far as you know it, you're underneath 516. That is resistance. So you could have got in at 514, ran it on up as close to 516 as possible on the call, got out. Now, as far as a put, damn, I missed the candle. I missed this drop. Man, I want to get in on a put so bad. Where can I get in at? First thought, where's going to be the potential bounce? Now that you done missed this drop, okay, what is the next opportunity? All right, think in your mind. You're thinking of those 3 price points already. You done lost 518. You done lost 516. What is the next area? 514. So you know, and not just that, you know that was last Monday's old resistant area that could turn into possible support. you know that that's the area that we can possibly bounce at. So instead of getting in on a put, catching a falling knife, wait for the bounce. Wait for these areas. And why did I put a line at 515.60 when you could have also entered that? Because if you go back, we did have some bouncing around 5. Yep, right here. We had that bounce at 515.64, which was in the past right here where you bounced and you ran on up. And as you can see right here, you bounce, you bounce, you bounce. So if I move that over, look where we got rejected at. 515.60. Boom. Ran on up 515.60. Then you started to come back down. 515.50. If you notice, you was losing cent by cent. 515.60, 515.50, and then you finally came all the way back down to 515 even when you lost 515 and fell back down to 514. That's it. All you had to do is pay attention to this pattern setup, because you already know once you get a long red candle, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna get a nice bounce back on up, but then you're gonna start to get stuck in a certain area that bears to try to move in, which creates an arch back on down for your leg back on down. So after you get this bounce here, that's your one leg, and then you're going on a second leg. So that's another way to do that. So if you are going in for a put and you missed the opportunity on that candle, okay, then wait for the next setup for that leg to set up on down. That's it. Easiest way to do that. So I hope that everything we just talked about, I helped a lot of y'all guys see a clear picture so y'all don't get confused and guess and I mean, all you do is wait on patterns, wait on setups, know your price points. It don't matter what stock it is, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, whatever the case may be. Understand the personality of that stock first and foremost. Meaning that, okay, what does it move by? Does it move by 2s? Does it move by 3s? Does it move by 5s? Does it move by 10s? Start to understand the personality of that stock in general. And once you start to understand that price, those price points, whether it's 2s, 3s, 5s, or however it moves, then go into looking for a pivot point. Okay, where is an area where it went up, came down to, went up, came down to, even on the downside? Where did it get rejected at and came back on down? It's always going to be a certain price in between that jagged, those areas where it bounced and where it got rejected. Find that price point, right? Because once you find that price point, then you can go from finding a top and a bottom, because that is the setup for your rotation, because you're going to go to the top and rotate to that number on down, then rotate on down, back on up. It's just a simple rotation up and down. That's about the easiest. Do you plan your exit and pivots? Do you look for another indicator? Prices. That's it. Well, I use the indicator to give me the sense of direction. Like, okay, like for my 9, 20, and 50. If it's underneath and I know the 50 is overhead, then I know it's downside. I mean, because you can clearly see it. If I see my 50 above my head, then I see it. I know that it's weakness. Because I mean, look how the market reacts to it. The 50 is on top, the red line, you get rejected, 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 rejected. And also, because you know when you're going on the upside, because normally your 9 EMA, which is my blue line, is the leader. It's always on top. So normally when it's on top, I know SPY's going up. But when I start to see it underneath everything else, because you have to understand that 9 EMA is always supposed to show more value than any other indicator. It shows more value than the 50, my red line. It shows more value than my 20, the orange line. So when that indicator alone, that 9 EMA alone is on top, that's letting me know that it's more valuable than all these other indicators, which is a good thing because that means that it's moving up. And SPY plays off of that 9 EMA really well on the upside or the downside. So as we can take a look back on, I can show you for example. So you notice once it loses value from being to the top, what happens to SPY? SPY follows it. Look at this. Now when it's at the top of it, look what happens. SPY follows it on up. You notice that? So when that 9 EMA shows value that is more valuable than the 20, the VWAP, and the 9, look what happens with SPY. SPY goes on up because it's following the value pretty much. Now, when it loses value and starts to cross over on down, so the SPY loses value on down. So you notice that? Once you start to cross over on the downside, not only do your 9 EMA loses value, SPY loses value. So when you see a crossover back on up, that means that 9 is regaining value, so will SPY regain its value. So that's what I normally look for. That's why sometimes I'll sit out and I'll wait for crossovers. I wait for us to get back above, the VWAP. But I'm also looking at my price points, because if I have my price point set up, then I go with that as well. Because okay, if I see 514 holding, all right, I'm like, cool, 514 is holding. Because what is the next area if I was to get in? Say for instance I wanted to get in on a call at 514. What can I let it run up to? 516. 516, that's the $2 movement. If I get in with 1,000 shares at 514 up to 516, that's $2,000 right there, just within a $2 move. Now, if it breaks 516 and run up to 518, not only do I have 2,000, now I have 4,000 because all I did was play my channel. My bottoms held, buyers came in, we ran back on up to 516, 516 held, now we're running back up to 518, boom. And that's how I do it. I just play off my price points. And again, I just watch my indicators as well, just to kind of give me the sense of the direction, basically the power, like who's more in control, because normally as soon as I see that 50 moving on up, I know that weakness is coming because you never want to see that 50 to the top. You don't never want to see it over your head. If anything, you always want to see your 50, which is the red line. You always want to see it at the bottom because that holds as a floor, holds as support for a movement back on up. So when I seen the 50 was at the top above everything else, that it was showing more value than everything else, I was like, oh, well, we're going to see downside because that's like a ceiling that you're hitting constantly over and over and over again until you cross above it and go from resistance into support and actually start to go back this way. So normally that's what I do. Like when I see like my indicators kind of looking like this, or my 50, which is the red line, I love to see when it's going down. I don't like to see when it's going up because that can lead to a harder drop. So basically, I pay close attention to that red line because I always want to see it at the bottom and never the top. Because anytime you're at the top, you can expect a drop coming because you always want to keep your 50 at the bottom as far as support. So basically, I can show you right here. See, anytime it starts to move up, and to me that's letting me know that it's overbought, it's overextended. Because again, look what happens at the crossover. Boom, it gets too high, that 50. Now your 9 and your 20 crosses it and it goes down. Now it's underneath it. So what I'll do is if I'm going for a call, I'm waiting for it to come back down because I want it to go back to its rightful place. I want it to go back down to a support area where now it's just staying underneath where SPY can move on up. So now that we slowly crossing back this way and we're still holding above 514, and you can see like look where the 50 is at right now, right around 514. Where we can now use that as support base. You can use that as a support level to hold, bounce, and move back on up. So that's what I look for. So sometimes I just sit out, I wait on everything to just kind of even out perfectly as far as my game plans. I'm waiting on my 50 to move down. I'm waiting for my indicators to move up. I'm waiting to see if we get back above VWAP. I'm seeing if a certain price point is holding. If I'm looking at it from a channel standpoint. I mean, if everything lines up perfectly, and then I'll make my decision. But yeah, I just put those combinations together, and if everything falls into place like it should, then I go for it. Like right now, I'm not jumping on the call yet still because even on my 15, it's still above your head. Even on my 15, I mean right here on the 15, we still showing a little bit of weakness yet. Like we haven't got to push all the way back up to 516. We're still kind of flirting around at 514. So that's still, to me, it's still indicating a little bit of weakness at this moment. And I'm just still sitting on my hands. But I do see somewhat of a reverse head and shoulders setting up, as you can see. It's kind of like a reverse head and shoulders. If you can hold this 514, we can reverse right back on up. So I am looking at that setup slowly taking place. So I'm just waiting for everything just to line up, and then I go for the kill. Because everything, I watch everything. I watch all my time frames. I'm making sure everything is setting up. I'm watching my 1 hour, my 180 chart to make sure that we holding above 514. The candle was green for the possibility to run back up this way. I'm waiting for my 50 to move back on down so it can go back to support. Like I said, 514 is holding. I'm just keeping that on watch. I look for specific patterns within there, like a head and shoulders, a downtrend, something, just something to give me an edge. And another reason why I'm leaning more still on the call side is because we are still in a bullish market. So everything is still going on up. Even if I look at my daily time frame, whatnot, we're still bullish. Like we haven't fallen yet. So everything is still holding above because if you think about it, you're holding above the high 500 still. We still holding above 510. So that's still putting us in the teen areas. So we still holding good as far as in the fives as far as SPY. So, everything is still pointing to me as far as being on a bullish upside. And now once we get up to higher levels, then I can go for a stronger kill as far as a put. Just like with 518. Remember when we first hit 518, what happened? Those bears came in and we shot back on down. Why? Was because if you look on this chart here, right in this area, what did we hit? We hit that red line. So I'll be waiting on the kill for puts on these. When we going towards these highs where I know that resistant area, that line itself is strong. So I know when to move in on my puts as far as holding for, for a little while. Because you hit that red line, you come on down. So that's what I'm anticipating for us to bounce back on up, run back up towards those highs, which would be around the 520, 521s or 522s, whatever, and then catch that nice spike, that drop back on down. So that's why I just play it smart and I play it cool. I watch my setups on my 180. I still see we bouncing. We bouncing on top of that trend line, which we can still run back up to this trend line and even back up to this red trend line. So I'm just watching everything fall in place and everything set up perfectly. Then I go from there. But by how everything is still setting up, I still see bullishness. And even though we're getting a pullback, I still see bullishness. I still see a bounce from this trend line and back on up this way. So all I do is, again, it's not about what I want. It's about what the market is telling me, And I had to learn from that because I used to be stubborn as hell. Because even though when the market would be bullish and I still had that put mindset, I would just be honest, I'd get my ass slaughtered because I was so selfish. So what I started doing was and the reason why I came up with that trend line is because I was so aggravated trying to figure out, man, what am I doing wrong? And I was telling myself this, when I was by myself, because I want to be a great stock trader. Because I was just trying to figure out myself, what the hell am I doing wrong? I would sit over for the weekends, and I'm like, and I would study and stare at SPY for hours. Because I was always trying to figure out, what the hell am I doing wrong? Like, why when I get in, it goes the opposite way? Why when I do this, it always don't do what I wanted to do? And I'm instead of getting pissed off. So I had to literally sit there and figure it out. And like I said, one week I just sat here, watched SPY before I even added my lines. And I was trying to look at it from every angle. Channels, highs, lows. I was like, what can I do to help me that would actually freaking make sense? And that's when I put my diagonal line, and then I started to see a clear picture. Now everything started to make sense. I was like, oh, now I get it. And then I'm not too long about the price rotation. I'm not too long gonna figure that out. But again, that's because I put in the work because I want to be a great trader, not just to me, but to you guys. So I want to figure out things that'll help you in the long run. So that's why sometimes I'll sit here for hours and I'm just staring at this chart. I'm just staring at this chart, looking at these patterns. Okay, what am I doing wrong? Okay, where do I need to put my resistance lines that'll make sense? Where do I need to put my support line that'll make sense? Where, basically set it up to where I know I'm getting in on the right side of the momentum. I'm not, being naive. I'm not jumping in on the wrong side of the play thinking that the market's going to go down when it really wants to go up, or look like it wants to go up but actually goes down. So I had to figure out certain ways or certain patterns to give me an edge on, okay, let me think on what the market is trying to do overall. Just like, remember what it was yesterday I told y'all? Or was it yesterday or the day before? I think it was yesterday. When I was telling y'all about the bad traps. Remember I told y'all that what normally happens the day before an economic data or earnings come out. Didn't I tell y'all pullback was going to happen? Tell me I'm lying. Marty, all of y'all, tell me I was lying. Tell me if that pullback didn't happen. That pullback I told y'all what could have happened. Didn't it happen? I told you. And then, again, that was all about me just studying my charts and understanding movements, understanding pattern, what happens the day before. Once I started to catch on to what they would do, I just went by that. So anytime I see a data coming out, because I have to think, especially if a lot of people are going long, if they're going for calls. If I was them, what would I do? I'm not going to buy in the highs because if we don't know what the data is going to say. So if I was them, I would drop the market down. I would do the same thing. Because if I'm long biased and I want to get in on a trade, even before the data comes out, wouldn't you not drop it to a lower area? Wouldn't you not want to buy low, get into low areas, again, to reduce your risk? Again, not knowing what's going to happen on the data, whether it goes up or down. So once I started to catch on to that pattern, that's when I started to alert you guys. And in my live yesterday, I said, even though we're at 514, I said, I guarantee you. No, were we at 514 or 5? No. We was at 516 because remember we kept channeling around 516, and I told you 9 times out of 10 it's gonna pull back to 514. And what happened? I told y'all what's gonna happen because now I started to catch on to everything. Like it just started clicking like one by one. Every little thing, every little movement, every setup, I mean, man, it's like it just hit me like a ton of bricks because again, I started to catch on to the setups before an economics data. I started to catch up on the setups before an earnings data. It's like I start to understand what they're doing right before something comes out. I started to understand the bear traps. I started to understand the bull traps. It's like I started getting better and better at it. But y'all cannot lie and say I did not tell y'all that it was gonna fall to 514 yesterday when we was in that 516 area when it was getting choppy. Marty, you was with me. Y'all was with me. Nate, shut up. But didn't I not tell y'all guys? What did I kept saying? Because you remember I said I didn't even want to trade. I said the area that I wanted, what did I tell y'all? I said I wanted 514. Even when it was just choppy. I said it would be funny if we pull back to 514 and they trap those bears. They set a bear trap because you remember I kept telling y'all that. I said every time we would fall down here, what would happen? You go back on up. You'll fall down here, look like you want to crack, it go right back on up. What happened yesterday? I told y'all. I told y'all what was going to happen. I told y'all. It fell where? 514 and it shot right back where? 516. I told y'all what was coming. Because I just caught on to their setups now. I started catching on to what they do. Because what was that? Yesterday here? Yep, right here. Because you remember, right, yesterday we was at 516. Remember, we kept playing around 516, ran up to 517. But what was the area I told y'all I was going to come down to? Around that 514.50 to 514. And look what we fell at. What was the price? 514.49. I told you. I told you. I told you that was going to happen. And then I told y'all what would happen after that. You fall down to 514 where they're going to trap the bears and they're going to pull it right back on up and get back on top of that trend line. Didn't that not happen? Didn't I not call it? Team, I called it. Marty, Nate, y'all know I called that. If y'all don't believe me, run back my live and see if I'm lying. If I didn't call that play. And I told y'all what they was going to do. I told y'all. I would go back and bring up my live to prove that I said that on what was going to happen yesterday. They was going to go down to 514 yesterday. See? Because what was that yesterday? What was yesterday? The 13, right? Yeah, 13. What was that yesterday when that pullback happened? When I told you it was gonna come back down to 14? Was this it? Lows 5. Yep, right here. Because I told y'all, I said it'd be funny if we get a pullback down to the 514s and they retract it back up to 516 for tomorrow's data. And that's exactly what happened. I told y'all they was gonna pull back down, make a break down, retract it back on up, and then you get that push on back up to that 518 mark. I told y'all. Now, I didn't say it was gonna last, but I told y'all the setup what could happen. So now for today, the setup could be back below. So basically, like I said, the main focus is that 418. I told you. I mean, not 418. I'm sorry. 514. 514 is going to be your area you want to focus on because 514 we can either continuously hold for the move back on up because again you got to remember we're in a channel right now until we break 516 because you remember as I was telling you Thunder that now that we lost 518 and we lost 516 you have to think of a channel of 516, 514, 512. So the main area in your pivot point is 514. As long as 514 hold on the upside, you can have an opportunity to move back up and rotate back up to 516. If you lose 514, you have the opportunity to rotate and go back down to 512. So right now, you are in a channel 516, 512 with the middle pivot area of 514. So you will see some rotation in between the 516s, 512, 516, 512s with that middle man of being 514 until the market either breaks out or cracks down. So right now we are in that mark. And the only reason why I said I think we may hold this key level 514 because you have to remember tomorrow, look how many contracts will be expiring on SPY tomorrow. We have 4 million out of the money puts versus 909,000 in the money calls, all expiring on the 15th of tomorrow. So you have a lot more weight on the put side versus your call side. So it's on how many people are going to hold their contracts before they start to exit out. I mean, right now you have more of a higher weight put than you have a buying put. So You have a lot more people betting against the market to go down versus the ones betting to go up. So that's why I want to see exactly what's going to happen going into tomorrow. You know, will we see some squeezes on up? We will see some squeezes on down due to all these contracts that's going to be expiring tomorrow. Again, you have 4 million out of the money puts, and you have 909,000 in the money calls. So again, you have a way heavier side on the puts than you have a heavier than a side on the calls. So you have 4 million in weight, put weight, and you have 909,000 weight on the calls. So yeah, you do have a lot more heavier puts. So again, anything can happen. Again, we can see a squeeze where you start to squeeze them puts out of their contracts, where you start eliminating them one by one by one by one by one. Because you also have to remember, Thunder, that we have two types of contracts on the puts. You have an AM contract and you have a PM contract. Your AM contracts ends right before the market opens, which is 9:30, and then you have your PM contract, which expires after the market closes once the bell rings. So you have those. Well, what is 4:15? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 4:15 for those options. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's gonna be interesting to see what type of movement we're gonna actually have tomorrow. Do we have any new major economic data coming out tomorrow? I don't. I'm trying to find it. Do we have any major economic data coming out? Uh, where's my damn data at? I mean, my sheet. What did I do with it? Well, for my patrons, I use a different data sheet team, so I might show y'all one a little bit different. I think I changed it to the 15th. All right, so let me take a look. Yeah, we don't have nothing green on Fridays, so that's all just regular data, all in the yellow. So all your main ones was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. Everything else is yellow, so it's kind of like level two data's coming out tomorrow. I like more puts in the money. Yeah, I mean, as far as in the money wise, I mean, you only have what, 41,000. I mean, you still have way more calls over those in the money puts. I mean, out of the money puts, you have 4 million. So that's gonna be it's gonna be interesting tomorrow to see if we're gonna see some squeezes. But 514 is holding. Look, see the rotation? As long as this area holds, you got room to run up to 516. You run up to 516, you got room to run back on up. So we could see a squeeze when you run up from this trend line to this trend line, and possibly run up to that red line, which is around 520. So that look at that push. See that? Buys are coming in. Buys are coming in. You see it? That bounce, boom, bouncing off of 514. I mean, you can just see it on the 180 chart. Now you got room to run up to 516. You run up to 516, you run right back up here. And if they can hold on top of this trend line here, that'll hold you right here. Break that 518 level, and we can see a higher price point. So as long as this trend line holds, you got room to run back on up. So definitely keep that on watch, because they are definitely trying to hold. Buyers are moving in right now. Let's see. So right now we're above the VWAP. Still haven't got that crossover on this 15 yet. I'm just still keeping on watch, but that indicator is coming right down to that 516. So if you get a breakout above 516 and get back on top of that 50, that's going to turn to support where you'll hold 516 for the move back on up. So I'm just carefully watching this as this moves on down. I think we did hold it on the 3-minute time frame though. 3-minute time frame, we're above it. Yeah, we're above it on the 3-minute time frame. Yeah, see how it acts as a support line. So again, and which is causing almost like a squeeze coming up between these indicators and that VWAP. But you all holding good. You all holding well right now. Yep, you're slowly cracking out of that downtrend, trying to hold on top of the VWAP for the moving back on up to rotate to 516. So I mean, it's just a slow build on up, but I mean, your buys are definitely stepping back on in. I mean, definitely trying to step back on in, back up towards these areas of 516 and higher. And if you do, that's gonna push you way back up here towards that what is this, 516.80-ish mark. Basically, okay. You see what we called that fall back? That fall right here? Remember, that was that old resistance line from yesterday. That 517.11. So we go back across the board. What was that old resistance area? 517.11. See that? That was what's it is? Thursday. That was Wednesdays. That was Wednesday's resistance mark. So we stretched this out. Remember, that's what took us out yesterday. Between 517.50 to 517.11. This was yesterday's movement. So we go back across the board. That was the same areas that took us out today. 517.11. Boom. So if that's a strong resistance and we break above it, that's going to also turn into strong support for the blast up to 518. So right now, that's the area that they are trying to push back up to is that 517. Because you break back above that level, not only will you be back above that trend line here, now it's giving you a safe space between this yellow line to this red line. So I'm just keeping on watch to see if they're going to start to curl back up toward that old area of resistance at that 517.11 and back on up to 517.50. So I definitely want to keep that on watch. Like I said, we may not get it today. We may get it tomorrow, as long as they hold a certain specific area where it channels and kind of starts to U-shape. As a matter of fact, speaking of U-shape, I don't think I think we came out of that old cup and handle pattern. Yeah, we cracked that. So we had a cup and handle pattern set up, but we cracked it after that run. We definitely cracked that because we ran out of basically off of that cup and handle pattern. We did run. So I don't see no other patterns at this moment that can be setting itself up just yet. I mean, all I see is still like a downtrendish pattern. Yeah, I still see some downside. I still see a little bit of weakness. I mean, because you see how it's still flirting around that 514 level, and we still haven't touched 516. It just keeps flirting around this little area still. That's almost like the same thing it did yesterday when it was flirting around 16, and then it fell to 14. So it looked like it's almost doing the same exact thing, like it's flirting around one key area. How I did 516, then you drop to 514. So if it does get weak, we still can see 512 if we do crack 514. Because we are back, we're underneath the VWAP still. So that is still showing a sign of weakness. Still showing a sign of weakness. I mean, it may be acting a little different during power hour, but at this moment, I mean, I'm definitely seeing some weakness still. Definitely seeing weakness. So let me see. Let me set it up this way. All right. Yeah, so we're still on this downtrend setup still. So we're still on this. We're right at a potential descending triangle if we do lose 514. So it's still sitting up on like a descending wedge that can come back down to this 513 and on down to 512. That's still a possibility. So I'm not gonna count that out and say that's not gonna happen. That can still happen. If we lose 514 on the downside, we can definitely come right back down to that 513 and even lower to that 512 mark. So we can definitely still see that because it's still weak. It's still showing weakness. Jay, I don't see getting above 515 today. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, we're still downtrending. We're still downtrending because that's what I'm saying. If we do lose 514, we just have to rotate our channel and our pivot points. So we'll have to go back to 514 as the pivot point and back down to 512. So say for instance we don't break this, we have to do away with 518 and go back to the old pivot, the old channel setup. Bottom 512, pivot point 514, and your tops of 516 as resistance. So that's the only way to look at it until we break out of 516. So right now we're still in this channel. So if I go back, boom, 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 that'll be our top still. We'll be right here in this channel. 16, 14, 12. So I still just see downside. Because, I mean, it looked like that 514 wants to give in. Because, I mean, just like I called yesterday. You remember when we was hovering around and floating around 516, I said we may see 514. And that's exactly what happened. With this, we may see 512 still. Because, I mean, we still showing weakness, signs of weakness. We can get a descending squeeze on down to 512 possibly. If those bulls don't move in. Because, I mean, we don't have no major economic data coming out tomorrow because all our data is... The major datas are done. Your CPI, PPI, jobless claims, retail sales. What else came out? What did I post today? Retail sales, jobless. Oh, yeah, it was those three. So man, yeah, still signs of weakness. Still signs of weakness. So we could be coming back down to that other trend line. I mean, we could be coming right back down to this area still. So I'm gonna definitely keep it on watch. Cause every time you come down to this level, let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Yep. So getting a little bit of, like I said, you lose 14. You can come back down to 512. Definitely come back down to 512, but your main bounce is at 510. Because I can see right here where you had a nice bounce off of 510. That's why I'm just keeping on watch. So can we lose 410 and come back to 512? And if we lose that, can we come back down to 510 when we had this nice bouncing area? Excuse me, this bouncing area. Because you did come down to 510, you have a strong bounce back on up. So that's why I want to see these key areas. Like I said, because 514 is just key right now until we lose 514 and then we move back down to 512. So that's why I'm keeping on watch. So right now we're in this channel, 516, 514, 512. So again, your pivot point, 514, which can move down to 512. On top, you can move back up to 516. But right now it is still looking weak. Still looking weak. So we could probably see some more pullback coming. So if we do, again, we could see 512 coming up. I think 512 coming. Yep, I think 512 may be rocking and rolling. We just tried to test 15. Yeah, because all you're doing is getting rejected right where you got that when you got rejected at before. You're just back under that old rejection area. Yeah, see? 515 when you had that, you remember we had that that U shape, I mean that H pattern? All you're doing is getting rejected at the same key area, 515 again. You come right back down to 514. You remember like a magnet, you get pulled right back to your pivot point all over again. So 515 is definitely holding up at strong resistance, which is pulling you back down to 514 again. So yeah, I mean, again, it's just that 514 key area. It's like, will we crack it and see 512, or will they hold it and channel this into tomorrow? So that's the key. But I still think we may see 512, because I mean that downtrend is still going on. I mean, you get that descending squeeze. You got to move. You got an opportunity to move back on down to 512. And look like we are getting weak at this moment. Look like we're about to get a descending squeeze on down to possibly 512. Because this, like I said, at 515 is that same mark where you got rejected after you came off of that bounce here around 515 and you got rejected. Then you move back up to 515 once again and you got rejected at 515 once again. So that's why I'm thinking we definitely may see some more downside. I mean, which is not bad. I mean, because you're getting away, you're going to lower areas. The lower, the better. So, I mean, nothing's wrong with pullback, especially if you're going on calls. I mean, get in as low as you can. But for puts, I mean, again, you crack that 514, ride it on down to 512. You crack 512, ride it on down to 510. So, I mean, that's the only thing to do. Just keep riding that downtrend. I mean, you're going on a possible descending squeeze from 514 to 512. Especially if they can't hold it, you can definitely see a squeeze on down to this key level. I'm thinking all the buys will move around 514 or done buying. Yeah, I mean, because you didn't test it as 515, you came back on down. You pretty much channeled in between 515, 514, like a little dotted channel, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. You cracked it, 514. You reclaimed 514. Now you're back down to 514. But I just see an overall downtrend still. So you are getting into a tighter wedge, if you notice, because you had a lot of room here when you went on this U shape. But if you notice, that space is getting tighter and tighter and tighter between that downtrend and that 514. So you get into an area where we can definitely get a nice squeeze on down, because that space is getting tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. And I do predict another squeeze on down and possibly 512. So just giving y'all heads up on that. Possible squeeze on down 512. Yep, 3 minutes to power hour. But it's all about this 514 range. That's really what all is. I told you that pivot point for today, that's going to be very important. 514 is going to be your key. Again, you hold above 514, you can go back on up. You crack 514, you go back on down. But 514 is going to be that key. Because look how much activity you had around 514 itself. Look at that. That's showing you that's the major key, the focus point, 514. You on top of it, you have a possible run. You get underneath it, you have a possible crack on down. So 514 is definitely going to be your key. That's your pivot point. Your pivot point on down to 512, and your pivot point back on up to 516. So it is about to be power hour in about 2 minutes, but I just still see a descending squeeze that can push on down to 512, unless we, a powerful batch of buys come in and you crack and you break above the downtrend and back on up. But the way this is going, it just seems like them bads is moving in, like it's getting heavier and heavier now. It's definitely getting heavier and heavier, which only makes me want to think if you got sellers already. I mean, with 4 million puts coming in, and you're already getting downside. It's like how far are they trying to push this bad boy down? So that's what I'm thinking. So we're already getting that downside, and we got 4 million puts expiring tomorrow. It's like how far are they really trying to push this bad boy? So are they trying to push it down to 512? Are they trying to push it down to 510? Because you got room. Because if you look at it on this chart here, you got room to go from 512 to 510 to even lower to here to go back down to this green line. I mean, you got room to fall this way. And that's all the way like, wait. Now that I'm thinking about it, Marty, you think it may go back down to that? Well, I mean, I know it's still kind of a long shot, but Marty, you think it's trying to go back down to that 508.50 mark? If we was to get like a huge pullback, if that was to happen, like 508, 508.50? Because you remember that was that old area a while back? I think it was like 508.50 or something like that. If we was to continuously keep this drop off on and on, because you get rid of 512, 510, your next area is 508, which, around that 508, 508.50 mark. And you got room to fall all the way back down this way, and that's around 508, about that 508-ish mark. Yeah, I mean, I definitely see some more downside. I mean, you can see it. Look at the setup. Descending squeeze on down. I mean, you got another one coming up right here where you try to bounce. Crack that 514. You got room to run back down to 512. I mean, I can definitely see it. Look at this setup. Look at this. Downside. That's why I told you, that pivot, I mean, that 514 is going to be your middleman. Again, you stay underneath, you can see 512. You stay on top, you can possibly see 516. But I definitely see way more sellers right now for a possible push to that 512 mark. So 512 incoming. Yep. He said, let's see 5. I was thinking the same thing, boss. I'm thinking 512 too. We may see all the way down to 512. I say between 512.50 to 512. Somewhere in that bracket we're gonna see. Because you bounced at that 513. So 513 already bounced. So if you give up 513, that next key area is gonna go down to between 512.50 to 512 itself. I guarantee you that. Who got in on the short? Who got in on the short? Because you can definitely see, you can definitely see this downtrend setup. I mean, you see a descending squeeze that's gonna definitely push it down even further. So we're gonna definitely see more downside, and I think it's gonna be around that 1250 to that 512.50 to 512. I mean, because even on this chart here, you crack that, you got room to fall even further down to 510. You got room to fall down to even 510, and that's not too far. Because you get to 512, look how much space you got to fall to 510. So let's see. Let's look at it from a shorter, see 512. You get to 512, you crack 512, you got room to fall back down to 510. Because that'll bring you down to this trend line here. And that's around 510. If they try to catch a bounce and try to go back up on that 180, yeah, that's around 510. If that 512 doesn't hold, but I definitely think it's gonna be around the low 512s. I can definitely see that. Because you can see the setup right here going down. I mean, it's setting up for another descending squeeze as you keep going this way. And that's down to 512. Because look at that arc. You can clearly see that. Because you already had your leg here. So let me see it. Because you already had this arch here. And it's still underneath that 515. So 515 is definitely strong resistance. Because you fell underneath 515 the first time. Now you got rejected under 515 the second time. You tried to bounce at 513, and underneath that 513 is that 512.50, which is here. And the reason why I'm calling out 512.50 because I think we had a bounce around this area in the past somewhere. 512.50. Let me see, 512.50, 512.50. I think it was like around here. No, right here. 512.50 on down to 5. Yeah, because I'm trying to see what those old bounce areas was at. 512.50, 512.50. Could have sworn we had a bounce around this 512.50 mark before. 512, 512. I keep saying 512 come up though. See, 512, a lot of bouncing going on in that area for sure. I was trying to see if we are going to hit anything before 512 itself. So you had somewhat of a little bounce right here, 512.50. You had a bounce and you ran up this way. Where did you run up to? 512.50, got rejected. 512.50, got rejected. 512.50 bounce. Yeah, I knew it was somewhere around here. 512.50 bounce. 512.50 ran back on up. Right, all right. Then we back here. So it's gonna be around that area. All right, so yeah, I think around 512.50 to 512, we're gonna pretty much see another pull coming. Cause 5, it didn't gave up 514, so now that's back to resistance again. It's no longer support. So now that's gonna be a ceiling. So now we gotta rotate it back on down again, because now we done lost 514. So now we gotta think of a channel, because you gotta think about it. As you lose each pivot point, you have to move down the pivot point. So we lose 514, 512 becomes your pivot point, because now you're gonna have a pivot point of 512 to 514 from 512 to 510. So we lose that because you have to think about it from this channel standpoint. Because now 14 is going to be tops, 512 is going to be your pivot point, your mid area, and 510 is going to be the bottoms. So now we have to rotate that. Now we have to switch over the pivot points to this. If we continuously keep going down, this is what we can see. So bottom support, mid pivot point, resistance. So now, again, we're losing 514. We're losing 514 at this moment. Yep, there we go. Boom. So now that's putting us in this channel. See that? As long as we stay underneath 514, that's resistance. And what's going to happen? Where can you fall? To now this pivot point of 512. So, yeah, and that's going to put you right around that trend line, right where we falling at, right where that trend line is at. And we are coming right there to it for a possible bounce. So, I'm going to keep that on watch for sure. What is your lower day price? Oh, he's asking, what was this week's? What was the lowest low of day on this week's movement? 510? No, it was lower than that. Damn, what was this Monday? What was the low? How low did we come down? 508.50. 508.50 then. I see it. So between Monday and Tuesdays, your lows was between 510 to 508.50. Monday and Tuesday. So we are coming back down this way. I mean, we're definitely moving back that way. So let me go back over. See, we're coming back down right where they had that bounce at 512. You see this bounce? We're coming right back to that area. And then if you go even lower, you got this area here. Right here, 510. You got that area. And then last but not least, you'll have that 508.50. See right here, 508.50. See that, Marty? You see that bounce? See what I mean? 508.50. Boom, bounce right back on up. You had that powerful bounce there. You had a nice little bounce around 510. And you see we're coming right back down to. So, okay, matter of fact, now that I think about it, what was the old channel? Because you remember the channel, we might be in a channel rotation at this moment, Marty. What was the old channel we had? What was it? Because we coming back down to a channel. And that looked like this, like almost like right here, 512, 510. Because that looked like there was an old channel we were in. Because you remember the channel rotation? You rotate out of a channel, you return back to a channel. So it seemed like we're doing a channel rotation again, but on the downside. So that was around, what, 512, 510, right? Around these areas, because that's when you had your breakout. And you're starting to come right back down into this channel. And that's 512, 510. Right here, when we bounced, then we ran on up, turned it into support, ran on up. So we was in this channel around this key area. It was like right around here, because you can see where you bounce. You had this little area where you pivoted at. What is it? As a matter of fact, where's your pivot point? 510. So 510 is a pivot point, because anytime you underneath 510, you came back on up. Anytime you was above 510, you move back on down. So 510 is definitely a pivot point that it could possibly come back down to. So I do see a pivot point at 510, and I do see one at 512 around these two key areas. So 512 to 510 is definitely going to be an area that we could possibly see. And we are still pulling down. Where we at now? 513, 13. So yeah, 512. Between 512 and 510, that's coming. I see it. Yep, 512 to 510. it's definitely gonna be in the area because you coming right back down to that support line. I mean to that trend line. You see that? When you hit that trend line, you bounce. You hit that trend line, you bounce. And where's that lining up with? 512. See that? You could be pulling right back down to that old trend line, which is on my 180 coming down to this one right here, that bottom trend line, that yellow. And you are falling right close to it. And that's around 512. Yep. So, yep, 512. Here we go. Here we go. 512, I'm telling you. 512. Between 512.50 to 512, tell me I'm lying. Watch. Tell me I'm lying. 512.50 to 512. Tell me I'm lying. 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 Boom! 512.50. I told you between 512.50 to 512. I'm telling you, dude. I know how to call these charts out now. Tell me I don't know my shit. Sorry, acting, I mean to curse. Tell me I don't know. Louis Booty Boss said. Boom! Oh! What did we bounce at? I told you. 512.50. Go across. 512.50. Right on the spot. On the spot. Right on the dot. I told you. 512, 512.50. I told you. I told you. Right on that dot. 512.50. Can we crack it? Yeah, we can still crack it, but I told you we're going to probably bounce at 512.50. Can we go lower? Yes. I think we can go down to that 512, right? Where this downtrend is at. I mean, where this uptrend is at. But 512.50, I did call out that bounce. I told you we could probably see a possible bounce at. And where did we bounce? 512.50. I told you. I told you. I told you. Look at that. Oh, as I told you. Marty, you can't say I didn't call it. Marty, you cannot say I didn't call it. I called 512.50. I told y'all. Team, I told y'all what a possible bounce was going to be. I told you. Yep, right where that trend line is. Right where that trend line is. Like I said, could we see a little? Could we go lower than that? We could. We could go down to 512 because it's right lining up right with that down with that uptrend. Bounce, bounce. We still got room to still fall to 512 even. So, but right now 512 is, 512.50 is bouncing. I still think we may see a bit lower, you know. But 512.50 for sure. I knew that was coming. I knew 512.50 was coming. I mean, right on the dot too. Right on the line. 512.50. That's crazy. I should have betted more. I should have betted with you. I should have made a bet. I should have betted on you. I said 512.50 was gonna bounce. So the next area is gonna be 512 because, like I said, it's gonna bring us closer to this towards this trend line. Because you come down to this trend line area, you got another possible bounce coming up. See, 512.50 might come down towards this area here to 512. But I knew it was gonna be around that area because I remember where the old channel was at because the old channel was around 512, 510. Cause I know that's why a lot of back then before we went on them rips, that was the main areas that we kept on like channeling around was 512, 510. I knew it was gonna be around this area somewhere. I knew it was gonna be some more downside because I told y'all they were setting up that downtrend. I told y'all that squeeze was coming. I said we on this descending squeeze on down to 512. How many caught the puts? I alerted it. How many caught the puts on it? I told y'all. We cracked that 514. We're going down around 512. I told you. I told you. How many got on the puts, team? Did y'all get in on the put? Marty, tell me you hopped in, boss. Tell me you hopped in. On that put. On that beautiful put. On that descending squeeze. Tell me I got in. On that squeeze down to 5, possibly 512. Man, I told y'all what's gonna probably happen. Cause I told you the pivot points. Cause you lose 514, now you have to change the channel. See, that's why I have my channel set up. I told you we're gonna we lose 514, now you come down to 512. You're gonna have a pivot point of 512 from 512 to 510. So if you hold 512, you can move back up to 514. So, and as you can see, we're getting closer and closer to my pivot point and my trend line. So, and we still dropping. Nuno, man, any of y'all caught that? Any of y'all riding that put? How many riding that put? I called it out. I told y'all that descending squeeze was coming, and we could see a possible move back down to 512. I told y'all. Told y'all to see where I got my line at? 512. Said we can see a pullback all the way possibly to that mark. So let me see. Let me go back. Yep, we getting now. Getting closer and closer. 512. Right where that trend line is at. We getting to it. We getting closer. We getting closer. We're going to see. That bad boy is a dropping right now. Ooh, man. That's crazy. Did anybody catch a put? Soccer King, J24, G Money, Marty. Any one of y'all caught the puts? Y'all did y'all catch it? Y'all didn't. And then I just realized the M-shape pattern too. I didn't catch the M-shape pattern till just now. I saw the downtrend, the descending squeeze, but I just realized the M-shape. I was like, how did that go over my head? Yep, I definitely see an M-shape pattern. How did I miss that crap? Right there in my face. I mean, huge as day. Look at that. Green to red. Green to red pattern right there in my face. Look at this. Green to red. And then you know what happens. Normally, when you do find some support, you go from an M to a W. So do keep that in mind too. So you can soon go from an M to a W. We go back on up. So sometimes you'll do this. You'll go down. And then when you find support, you'll wind up switching over when you do this. So definitely keep that on watch. You know, once you start to transition over. Every time I enter or down, I'm red. So no more trades today. Great call, though. Wait, so every time you enter up or down, Nate, I called it out. Nate, you remember I said if you lose 514, and then I said the descending squeeze, you have the opportunity to go from 14, because you remember I told you the channel was going to change. I told you if you lose 514, you'll go down to 512. Because you remember that's why I changed my colors on my patterns. That's why I changed it to this channel from 514, 512 to 510. I said if you lose 514, you got room to fall back down to 512. You lose 512, you come down to 510. That'll put you now into this channel. Remember I said that? Because now 512 becomes your pivot point. So 512 becomes your pivot point for a move up to 514, and it becomes your pivot point down to 510. I mean, I called it out. I called out the descending squeeze. I called out 514. I mean, I was trying to warn everybody on what could happen. I mean, we definitely need that squeeze, because I just seen weakness. That's why I didn't see it go up. I mean, especially after we kept getting rejected underneath 515. I'm like, yeah, we about to see more downside. You remember I was telling you it's gonna set up for the next leg on down. So, as you can see, next leg on down. Still on that downtrend, so that's still setting up. And then we got a nice little candle that can set on another leg down. If we can't get back, if that 512 don't hold, sets up for another pattern when you crack 512 down to 510. That's a possibility. Caught some quick puts for 20 cents on a contract. What was your entry, Marty? You should have got in on the put wise. I mean, you could have just what was those tops? Hell, I mean, if you think about it, you could have got back at 515 before the drop. See right here, we got those top of the M shape. You could have got in at 515, and then held it for the drop on down, because you got rejected in the same key areas that you got rejected at before. It's around that 515 mark. So as we came back on up, look at that M shape pattern at 515, 515, then you drop. 513, really bad. 530. No, really, because you still would have had a dollar gain. Because if you got in at, 513, you had to move down to 512.50. And so that wasn't bad at all. So you still had a 513. You had like $1, almost $1 drop. $1.50 drop maybe? Yeah, because it came down to 512.50. So But you could have got in at 514. Could have got in at 515. You could have You could have got in 515, 514.50. Because you remember I was talking about that area too, 514.50. So you could have got in those areas. Because 514.50 was the area we fell at yesterday, and then we bounced right back on up. So yeah, y'all could have I mean, any one of y'all could have got in at 515 tops. If you missed that one, could have got in at 515, 514.50. Around that area for the squeeze on down. I mean, y'all still would have had a good entry. Still would have had a good entry. And then we're gonna get another leg on down. So I mean, y'all might have another opportunity because now we got this long green candle once again. They could be setting itself up for another H pattern for a fall back on down. So keep your eyes peeled. Don't get scared. Understand the pattern because you could be setting up for another leg on down again. You could be getting this little red, that massive red candle, that confirmation for a bounce right back on up, getting to a stuff area where you come back on down. So what is the stuff area? Right now we bounced. That was 513 here. I say 513 and 513.50, if I'm not mistaken. I think 513.50 could be another stuff area where you come back on down. I think it's 513.50 because I remember I was looking at that earlier. So, because you got that massive red candle. So now you're just waiting on that setup. Remember what I told y'all. Don't chase a falling knife. Don't try to get on puts at them bottoms. Wait for that setup, for that arch, this shape. So basically what you have to do is you have to find the price point where it's going to get rejected at. So I'm thinking around 513 to 513.50 is going to be that rejection when you start to arch again and then come back on down. So I do think it's going to be around that key level before we see another leg on down. When you start to get stuff at where your resistance move in at, I think it's going to be around 513 to 513.50. It's somewhere in that bracket. I want to say 513.50. Because I notice every time you lose, the way the SPY's been running is like every time you lose a whole number, you always get rejected like at a $half mark. I mean, almost like at a 50-cent range. So I was noticing it was doing it all day. So after now you done gave up 514, now the next level is 513.50. So I think that might be the next resistance area before you get an arch back down to the 512 zone. So I think, yeah. So keep that on watch, team. So I think it's going to be around 513.50 before you go on this little arch, before you come back on down. So I think I want to say 513.50. It's going to be your next area right here before we come back down this way. So I'm just keeping on watch because you're still trying to start the little H now. I mean, we just started, so you got to give it some time to build, which, shit, it's going to be, by the time it does build, probably the bell going to be ringing because you only got, 40-ish minutes, 40-something minutes left? Yep, about 40 minutes. So by the time this starts to build and try to create a body, it's going to probably be close to the market close. I guarantee that. Because, man, it's 320 right now? So we only got a short window of opportunity for that to happen. 513.35 could be the next resistance area. Yeah. Let me see. See, but like I said, the way the SPY's been acting, I mean, it could be, but it's been moving around like the 50-cent range as well. Because it's like when you get rejected, you lose a whole number, as it comes back up, you'll get hit by that $half mark. So, for example, what it was, right here. Look, 515.50. See right here. So before you can even go back up to 516, look where you got rejected at, 515.50. So then you came down, you lost that. Then you came right back underneath 515. Boom. After that, you got rejected. I think it was around 514.50 itself. Let me see. I'm trying to move it over some more. What's 514.50 here? So you started getting rejected at 75, then you came underneath that, then you fell. So it's like around these like areas, like the 50 and the 75-ish areas. It's like right before you get to the whole number again. Because that's what happened when it was trying to run back up to 516. You got rejected at that 515.60 to 515.50 mark, and then you start to just come down from that point. And then you came all the way underneath the whole number, 515. So you lost 50 cents from that rejection. Came on down to 515. You lost 50 cents, and then you lost that whole number. As far as 514, what the hell was that? Oh, 514, what did you hit before that? 515 you got rejected, 515 we got rejected. So what did you hit before then? Yeah. Trying to find these little key areas because you said 530, you said 513.35. 513.35. I'm just trying to find it, boss. I mean, I'm with you on it. I'm just trying to let me see. I'm trying to look at these old areas of support that can turn into possible resistance now. But these bounces, that was around 514. I'm sorry, was that 513.50? Up here? I know you bounced here. Then you bounced here. That's around 513. Back on up. Shit, we might start following you before that happened. Looks like it's getting rejected now. 513. Oh, shoot. Let me see. Okay, so right now we're getting stuff at 5. All right, so at this moment, the main thing to do is pay attention to the areas where it's getting rejected at right now. See, right now, pay attention to the area where you try to shoot up where you got rejected. So what was this? That was 513. So 513, you can see you hit 513, you get rejected. 513, you get rejected. So keep a line right here. So that's another way to help you out. So that's an area of resistance. So wait, so are those moving in odd numbers? As far as the rejections, as you come down off the evens? It looks like that's what it's doing, huh, Marty? What I mean by that is, okay, when you lost 516, you got rejected where? 515, right? Now you lost 514, and your odd number would be 513. So it looks like it's getting rejected off the odd numbers back down to the even numbers. That's what it looks like it's doing. Because right here, look, you lost 416, right? And then you got rejected, came down to 515. Now you lost 514. Now you got rejected at 513. It's like your odd numbers are your resistance, rejections, down to your evens. See? Oh, damn. If I'd known that, I'd jumped in. Crap. Oh, well. It is what it is. Yeah, I missed that one. Yeah, I definitely missed that bad boy. That was fast. It happened fast. I couldn't catch that one. God dog. That bad boy say bloop. It made an H that quick and then drop. Like, God dog. I thought it was going to take some time for it to form. Not this one. That bad boy just dropped, made this arc 513 and dropped right back on down. Good goodness. I definitely missed that one. Back on down to 512. I told you I was going to see 512. We're going to come right back down to that pivot point. Right where that trend line is at. So it's going to come down. It's going to still pull. Man, where the spot down now? 3? Goodness. No, man, I'm not 3. 71. 71. Cool. Oof. Yep. 512. I told you we're going to see that bad boy. We're going to see 512. I told you between 512.50, we bounced that down to 512 even. I told you, we're just going to come back down to that 512 mark. So now, 512 is going to be the pivot point from 514 to 510. So remember I told you the high's coming down to that trend line right around 512. And we are getting close to this trend line here, 512. Because they dropping it, they setting it up for something. Something is setting up. For this, especially with this drop that we have into. They setting up for something. They definitely setting up for something. For a nice pullback. What are they up to? To get this deep pullback at almost an $8 pullback? I mean, almost, well, once you hit 510, that'd be $8 for sure. But you're getting a deep pullback. I'm like, what are y'all up to, or what are y'all price points y'all trying to get in, or what trying to trap you trying to set? Y'all trying to do something, cause you gotta think about it, cause it's making me think now, because you're getting this deep pullback, right? You're getting this deep pullback, knowing that you got how many contracts expiring tomorrow, how many puts? You got 4 million. So don't you think if they were to get it as low as they possibly can, on how big that squeeze would be tomorrow if that was to happen, you get it down low as possible. Trap as many as you can, especially them newbie traders. that's jumping in on those shorts at the bottom, at these bottoms, these bottoms, to squeeze them right out of their positions tomorrow on a short squeeze. That would be funny if that's what they're doing. Because now you're down to 512. That's what, $6 down. And you know on short squeezes, them bad boys can squeeze $6 up. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm like, they setting up something. It's something. Because you getting this deep pullback, knowing that tomorrow is going to have all those contracts expiring. And you going down as low as you possibly can. Like setting up a trap for tomorrow. Because look how low you came down last time. You came down low here. And you fell. And then they came right back on in and you shaped it. So I'm like, matter of fact, wait a minute. Hold up. Think I see something. I'm not saying that's what they doing. Hold up. Because the last time that happened, when they pulled back around that range, this low, you had that nice move back on up. And you see a good pullback starting now. They up to something. They setting up something. I just don't know what it is, but I'm going to figure it out. Because you get this nice pullback to where a strong demand is going to be at. Because right here, you definitely have a demands. I mean, those buys move in every single time around that yellow line. If you notice that, you get a pullback, buys move in. Buys move in, buys move in, buys move in, right where that yellow line is, and you move right back on up. Same thing here. You come down, buys move in, buys move in, buys move in, for a move right back on up. And look where we at right now. Right at that trend line all over again, where those buyers can be possibly sitting at. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but when you get them pullbacks, they get in these areas. They like to hide around, like especially around this trend line. The buys just they move in for possible moves back on up. See right here, pull back, move back on up, and you right at that trend line again. So that's what I want to see. Are we gonna crack that trend line, or buys will try to move in and try to hold above this trend line for a nice squeeze back on up? Something gonna happen, man. Something setting up. I'm trying to figure out what it is. Something is definitely trying to set up. I mean, right now I still see pullbacks going on, but something is definitely. Because, like, how much further can you pull back before you have a nice move back on up is the question. Because here you buyers moved in right around 512 when you had that nice shoot back right on up. And that was like within a day from, what was this, 512 to 517? Where those buyers moved in at this key level and ran it right back on up. And look where you falling back to, 512. Right in this little area where they moved in and they shot that bad boy right back on up towards those highs. They up to something, more. They up to something. They setting up something. I'm just trying to, it's something setting up. Because like I said, look at the power of this 512 mark that catapulted from 512 to 517. And you coming right back towards that same area and that trend line. When you can bounce off that trend line, bounce off of 512, your two levels of support. Something is, I'm going to figure it out. I mean, I ain't trying to think too far ahead, but it's like every time you come around that trend line, you have a nice move back on up. Right around that trend line, you have a nice move back on up. And you falling well right at that trend line again. See that? Trend line, nice move back on up. Trend line, nice move back on up. That same one over and over and over again. And you falling well right back at that trend line again. Where those buys move in and you shoot right back on up. Something I mean, y'all noticing that though? I mean, I'm not crazy. Because you notice this yellow line and you notice every time it falls around that area, those buys move in and it shoots right back on up. Right here too. Move right back on. The buys move right back on in, shoots right back on up. Same trend line. Buys move in, shoots right back on up. Buys move in, shoots right back on up. And we are definitely at that trend line once again. On this deep pullback that can have a nice bounce back on up. Possibly. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But for a possible bounce that can actually move back on up. Huh. Same, like I said, same trend line. Bounce, bounce, and then you coming right at this. You right at that key area right now too. Huh. They setting up something. I'm telling you, dude, they setting up something. Something is setting up because you got 4 million contracts expiring, especially 4 million put contracts expiring tomorrow. Dude, I think I'm not trying to overthink. I'm not trying to overthink, y'all. You know, low boy Marty and all of that. Could they be setting up for a possible bear trap squeeze? Could they? Because look what happened. Look, this was last week. Look, Thursday to Friday. Look, going from Thursday to Friday, you had a nice little drop. And you bounced right off of that trend line, right? That same yellow line. Going from Thursday into Friday. And look what happened on that Friday. Boom. And look where you're falling right back at. Same trend line. Today's Thursday. Going into Friday. Oh boy, this is gonna be interesting. This is gonna be interesting. Cause they setting something up for tomorrow. Yeah, I'm saying, do y'all see this? I mean, am I tripping? I mean, do y'all see what I see though? I mean, tell me if y'all see what I see. Cause it's like every time that hits that line, you have a nice move back on up. And like I said, if you see it from last week, when it was Thursday going to Friday, look right here. You fell, came on down from Thursday, right? Thursday you fell, and then look, you blasted right back off on that same trend line. Nice pullback, and you just blasted. Same thing here. Nice pullback, and you blast. And it's every time you have those big pullbacks to that level. You notice that? You always got them strong pullbacks right back to that line, and you blast right on off. Right here. Look. Nice pullback back to that line. You blast right on off. Any other ones I see? This one didn't touch, but I mean you pull back, but that wasn't for sure. This one, you get a nice pullback and then a push back on up. Nice pullback, push back on up. Nice pullback, push back on up. And where we at right now? Nice pullback. I mean, you might be right, Marty, but I'm going to keep my eyes peeled on that too, though. Because it's a certain level that they're trying to get to. And what was this bounce at? These bounces was like at 510, too. From 512 to 510. They trying to get to a level. They definitely trying to get to a certain level. Yeah, that's why I got my line down here at 510, too. So I'm definitely watching it. Because I'm like, they going to try to move in somewhere. I'm talking about the buyers. But I'm going to definitely try to move in. I'm just trying to figure out between this 512 to 510 mark. Because I can see the trend line and I see that 510. And I see the reactions off of those levels. So 510, you have nice bounces. Trend line, you have the nice bounces. But it's around these two areas. The trend line and that 510. I'm definitely going to keep it on watch. Yep, so that's why I'm not jumping in. I ain't jumping to the conclusion of, I'm just trying to just figure out like how much lower can it go before you have a nice strong movement back on up. That's all I'm doing. I'm just trying to figure it out. Like I said, I'm not jumping into nothing. I'm just trying to see where they're trying to go before those buys try to move in and hold a certain key level. Because the only key level I see that would make sense at this moment, Marty, would be 512. Because that's where that trend line is at. See, that's the only reason why I'm watching this 512 mark, because if you hold up that trend line, you can easily move back on up. I mean, don't get me wrong, you could crack, because we've been seeing it before. When they did crack 512 or crack the trend line down to a certain low area, but then they move right back in, and then it becomes like a huge lower wick, and then it starts to move back on up. I mean, we've seen that time and time again. So I'm definitely watching this area, because you do have a support line off this trend line, because you have bounced off this area multiple times. So it's off this, between this trend line 512 to this area here, where you're gonna get some nice little buying momentum moving back in. I'm just keeping on watch. I mean, like I said, we could definitely keep dropping, but I'm just watching this trend line, because every time you hit this trend line, you just have a nice movement back on up. Trend line, nice movement back on up. That's why I'm just watching. I'm just trying to watch this pattern. See that? Trend line, move back on up. Trend line, bounce, back on up. Every time you hit that trend line, you have a nice movement back on up. So I'm gonna keep watching. I'm gonna see what it does. I mean, because you have cracked it before, but then you reclaimed it and went back up. I mean, so you have cracked it before. That has happened. I mean, even here, you had a nice little crack below it, but then you bounced off the 505 and you ran right back on up. Same thing here. Cracked it, reclaimed it, ran back on up. So that's why I say it wouldn't even surprise me on this level. I mean, it wouldn't be no different. I'm definitely gonna keep my eyes peeled on that though. Cause say up there, dude, I'm telling you. Mark my words, I'm telling you. Tell me I'm lying on this, man. I just. And Marty, where did we bounce? Marty, where did we bounce? Marty. Where did we bounce? I know that, but where did we bounce? I told you. I knew something was up. I told you. It hit that trend line. Marty, if I didn't call this, and I told you, every time it hits that trend line, I told you. What did I say? Trend line, bounce on up. Trend line, bounce on up. I told you. Same thing, rinse and repeat over and over. Look. Trend line, bounce on up. I told you. I knew it. Team, y'all cannot say I didn't call this. Marty, Soccer King, Low Bar, Kato. Y'all cannot say I didn't call this. Y'all can't say I didn't call this. Boy, that trend line works so perfect. Look at this. Come down to that trend line, bounce on up, trend line, bounce on up, trend line, bounce on up. After every time you have that deep pullback to it and you have a strong movement back on up, deep pullback for a strong move. Man, I called it. I called it. I called it. I knew they was up to something. I say, man, they trying to pull it back to a certain level. And Martin, the reason why I'm saying that is, again, boss, if you think about it, right? They hold that key level. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow we have 4 million contracts expiring, right? So if those contracts expiring and those people are jumping out of their plays, especially if you squeezing those puts, what happens? Think about it. What happens, Marty? What does that normally lead to? I knew they were trying to get down to a certain area. I knew it. Because think about it. What was that Thursday and Friday? Look what happened right here. Look, exactly. Look, Marty, look. When you pull back down to that trend line, what happened that Friday? Boom. Same thing here. You got to pull back down to that trend line. What happened? Boom. Same thing here. You pull down to that trend line. What you think is about to happen? I told you, I knew a setup was coming. They trying to go for a short squeeze tomorrow. That's what they doing. They definitely trying to go for a short squeeze tomorrow. I seen that setup. I seen it. I told you, it bounced off that trend line in that 512. I told you, I knew it. They setting up for a short squeeze tomorrow. All I'm going to say, puts, if you're going for puts, be careful. Because right now, what I just broke down, they're going for a short squeeze. They're definitely going for a short squeeze tomorrow. Possible short squeeze. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but just be mindful of it, especially if you get back above 514. You get back above 514, you hold above, because what do you have to hold up on this mark here? 514. So yeah, right here where that red candle is, if you get back on top of 514, turn this into a lower shadow and hold up on top of 5. Look where it's going. Marty, I'm telling you, I'm catching their setups, man. I'm telling you, I'm catching their plans. I'm catching them. Oh, Marty, tell me I'm lying, boss. Tell me I'm lying. Because what they're going to do is, on this candle, They're gonna try to pull it back up. You know, if they can pull it back up to 514, it's gonna clear this area as support because you already bounced off this trend line, right? You bounced off this trend line, and they push back up to that 514 level. That's gonna close this candle out this way, going back up that way. So see that buying pressure? Look, where we at right now? 513.05. I'm telling you, they're gonna after catching those shorts in their bear trap. Now they're gonna squeeze them out, squeeze them back up to 514. Because what the game plan would look like, the game plans and what they're trying to do, boss, is basically they're trying to squeeze them out of their positions early, try to close back above 514, stay on top of this part here for the push back up this way. Man, if that goes according to plan, if they close up above 514 before the market closed, I'll be down. That means I didn't call out their play before it even started. Dude, Marty, if I call out their plans, they little sneaky plan, and it goes the way I just said it, Marty, you gotta give my props, boss. You gotta give my props, man. You definitely gotta give my props. I done caught them. I caught them on their plan. They brought it down as low as they could to trap those lows. I'm telling you, boss. I'm telling you, because you gotta think about newbie traders, not the professional traders. Those newbie traders who don't know nothing about price points, who don't know nothing about this trap here, this bounce. Well, I seen it. You gotta think about all those new traders, the ones that don't know nothing, who just want to jump in because they want to trade, getting caught by us putting in shorts at the bottom, which is leaving to squeezes. Cause look where we at, Marty. Look where we at right now. 513.16, 513.20, Marty. 513.30, Marty. Ah, Marty, you can't say I didn't call this. Dude, I called this setup. I called this trap. They set up a bad... dude. I caught they plan before it. I just caught on to it. I said they're gonna create a bear trap. What they're gonna do is they're gonna trap all those newbies down here, the ones that's trying to go in for puts at the bottom, squeeze them out of their position, because what that's gonna do is gonna give them enough power to push back above 514, hold 514, turn that back into a channel, right? They're gonna turn that back into a 514 channel. Because think about it, Marty. What is 514? Think about it. They like I said, they pull back and they get back above 514. What is 514, boss? What is 514? I'm telling you, they setting it up. Because all they have to do is get back above 514 and push them back in that channel. The channel we talked about, 514, 516, 518, right? Is that not just the even number, but you remember that was last Monday's tone, right? Because you remember the areas that we were fighting for was 514 and 518. They get back above 514, that's going to put you back in that channel of 514 to 518 in that middle of 516. All they got to do is hold 514 going into tomorrow. Think about all those squeezes that could possibly occur. 514, 516, 518. What's after that? 520. Man, I caught their plans. Especially, like I said, if they close out above 514, that's exactly what they was doing. I'm just watching the prices right now. I mean, I know it's going up and down, but I want to see the closeout. I just really want to see it if that's really what was happening. I'm gonna keep it on watch. I'm gonna keep it on watch. I could be right, I could be wrong, but I showed you the proof. Every time it bounced in that area, you had a strong movement back on up. Every single time. And look where you fell at. You done fell all the way down to 512, the high 511s, and look where you back at now. Marty, come on, Marty. I know you see that setup with me. I know you see that setup that they doing. Come on, boss. We see this together. We see this. We see this setup happening. They setting that up again. They trying to squeeze them out of their plays. They already starting it. I'm guarantee you, they're trying to. But see, he said, "Wow, just made 700. Meant to buy one contract, boy. 10. Hey, low boy. Hey, Nate. Hey, y'all can't say I didn't call that. Y'all can't say I didn't call that. Nate low boy. I was breaking this down before that move even happened. I said because every time it comes down, you bounce. You bounce off that trend line. I say every time you have a strong pullback, boom, you go back on up. Pull back, boom, go back on up. And right here in that same area. He said I gave myself a heart attack. Hey, you profited. That's all that matters, boss. You profited. You profited. I mean, you got in at the 512s. You got in at the even number for a pushback on up. Hey, that's all it's about. You got in at a low area. That's good. That's good. Bounce, bounce. I mean, follow the pattern. Follow the pattern. Because I'm gonna tell y'all what I'm thinking they're trying to do. What I'm thinking they're trying to do. Because you gotta think about it. What was the old channel that we were recently in before we fell out of it? 514, 516, 518. Where do you think they're trying to go for tomorrow's possible setup? 5'8", 514, 516, 518. Because if they hold that 514 level, and especially knowing that we got 5 million puts expiring tomorrow, can you imagine what that squeeze is going to be like tomorrow? Especially because I'm telling you right now, you have way more puts. I put it like this. You got way more puts expiring tomorrow versus calls, which means with the lower amount of calls and a huge amount of puts, that means that you still good on buys, because as that expiration date is hitting, those puts is doing this. Those expirations are hitting. So that means that your calls are still low. So that means that number of puts are doing this is decreasing instead of increasing. So that can lead to a nice, I'm telling you, man, that's why I said it's going to be crazy tomorrow, because I think that's exactly what they're doing. And look where we at, 513.40. I'm telling you, man, I caught on to their plans. I caught it. Man, I caught on to them plans. Look, boom, 513. Low boy, I told y'all. I told you. I told you. They setting up for a short squeeze tomorrow. If they close above 514 is put us right back in that channel for that nice setup, because they're gonna turn 514 back into support. And then you have like I said, if they hold that solid, you move on up. Dude, I'm telling you, look at the prices. Look at the price keep moving up. They're trying to close above 514. I'm telling you, they setting it up for tomorrow's possible squeeze. Oh crap, this is gonna be interesting. Holy moly donut shop. Oh, this is gonna be so interesting. I'm gonna keep it on watch. I'm just like I said, I don't want to jump the gun, but I'm telling you, this is gonna be interesting tomorrow. 4 million puts versus 909,000 calls. This is gonna be interesting tomorrow. Very, very interesting. Oh boy. Boy. This is interesting. Look where we at. 513.60. We almost back up to 514. Dude, we hit 514. We only 40 cents away. 40 cents away. How long we got left? 9 minutes. 66. We 30 cents away. Up, 20 cents away. Uh-oh. Are we going back to 514? If we go back to 514, I'm telling you that's what they're doing. Tell me I'm lying. If we go back to 514, tell me I'm lying. 20 cents. I'm watching it. Uh-oh. 10 cents. 10 cents. 10 cents. Uh-oh. Here we go. Because I told you what they was going to try to do. Reclaim 514 and hold it for tomorrow. Watch. Man, tell me I ain't call that. I told you. Oh, they setting it up for a squeeze tomorrow. Oh, it's going down. Tomorrow's going down. They didn't reclaim 514. Uh-oh. We back in that channel. I told y'all that's what they was doing. Uh-oh. Puts, you better be on it tomorrow. I'm saying, it's gonna be crazy. I called it. I told y'all what they was doing. I called it. Man, that was insane. Should I go for a swing? Just, for just a little baby swing, just to see what could happen? Should I do that? Should I? I'm just debating. How long I got left? 8 minutes? Should I do it? Because we are back above 514. Marty, I told you. I told you they gonna get back in that channel of 514 because you get back in that channel, you got 514, 516, 518, and we have 5 million puts expiring tomorrow that can lead to a possible squeeze on up. Back up to 516, 518, and what's the next number they trying to aim for? 520. Marty, I told you. I told you. I told you. I called it. Because I told you, look, every time you fall on that trend line, bounce, and look, trend line, bounce, and every time you bounce, you go up to a new high. You go to a high area. Dude, Marty, I told you, boss. I called it. I told you. I told you. I knew what they was up to. And look at that. Look at them buyers moving in. Look at the volume right now. I told you. If I ain't called that, look at that buying volume came out of nowhere. They knew it. Look at the buying volume coming in. I called it. Lock this in on my live because y'all know I called it. Y'all can't call me no liar. I told you what they was up to. Once it hit that trend line, look at those buyers moving in. I called it. Man, I'm excited for tomorrow. I'm like, shit, I jump in. Man, I'm thinking about it, boss. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm thinking about doing a swing. But I want to pull back down, though. I'm going to catch me a red candle. I'm thinking about it. Because how long I got left? I got 6 minutes left. Well, no, because close at 15. Because matter of fact, let me first get some signs of life. Not life, but let me because we are crossing that VWAP. I mean the downtrend. We are breaking the downtrend. The VWAP is where 1425. I'm gonna just go for one. I want to get a little pullback first. I wanna, man. Ooh. I want to pull. Here we go. Pull back. All right. Let me see if I can try to hurry and sneak in one. Let me see if I can sneak in. I need to get one with some good volume. I mean some good go to red. Is that the right contract? Oh wait. Shoot. Wait, where's my contract at? Wait. Oh, look at that a put. That's why. Where's my damn call contract? Oh wait, where's my call contracts at? Oh come on, man. Oh I see it. That's why I was looking at the wrong damn contracts. My fault. I was looking at puts. I was like, why is it on puts? It's not what I was. Oh man, come on. All right, give me a pullback still. I'm trying to do it. I'm nervous. I mean, I'm trying. Whew. All right. All right. No, you want red. I mean, if you're going for a call, you want to pull back because you want to buy the tops, low boy. Like when you're going in for a call, you want pullbacks. You want to get on red candles for the shoot back on up because you want it to pull back to a lower price. That's you doing what you want red candles. I want pullbacks. I mean, I definitely want pullbacks because I'm not buying any tops. That ain't happening. So let me see how low can this contract go before. I'm gonna test it. Let me see what we got. Can I get in the fives? Maybe five. Let me see. Can it come down back down there low? Let me see if it's gonna grab my order. Let me see if it's gonna do it. Make sure I got the right date too. I got an order set. I'm trying to see if it's gonna pull down to it. Let me see if I get it. What time it is? 4 minutes. Man, don't shoot up yet. Don't you shoot up yet. All right, pull back. Okay, cool. Please do me a favor. All right. I might be able to get in. It's pulling back. How low can I go? Can I move it? Let me see, 5. Let me go in a little bit lower. I like to get a little bit of cushion. Little bit of cushion. Ah, shoot. Hope I don't miss it. Damn it. Come on. Pull back. Come on, what I got left? 3 minutes. Cause I do not like buying highs. Pull back. Come on, give me another one. Before you even start to shoot back on up. Pull back. Let me see. I hope it comes back down to my level, man, because I don't want to miss it. I'm not chasing it. I should have bought at the bottoms. That's what I should have did to begin with. Cause what was the lows on these contracts? The low was what? I could have been in at $3 on these damn contracts. I would have been up already $200. Don't do it. No. Ugh. Come on, man. Give me a pullback because I'm not chasing you. I'm not chasing. I need a pullback. I'm not chasing. Because if I'm going in for a call, I'm definitely want a pullback. And then my contracts are spiking right now. And I just don't want to chase. I just need a... Come on, man. Let me see. I'm trying to get in a good area. I just need a little pullback. Come on, man. Do me a favor. Do me a favor before you shut it off. Pull back, pull back, pull back. Please, please pull back. Because it looked like I want to pull back, but then it just, we got left 2 minutes. It got my nerves bad right now. Man, just give me one solid freaking pullback. Like, don't start blasting off yet. Pull back. It's not giving me what I want right now. I mean, I still got time to 4:15, Marty? Yeah, 4:15, right? Yeah, 4:15. So, I mean, we do get it. Oh, man, come on, come on. Come on, come on. Don't start shooting up yet. Not yet, not yet, please. I know your plans, but I knew I should have jumped in early. That's my fault. I should have jumped in and caught it early. Shoot. Let me see what time it is. I might have to hurry switch my whatchamacallit to the is it good to cancel? Make sure I got my order set too. Yeah, good to cancel. All right, cool, cool, cool. Because even if we pull back, I'm still gonna just sit here and wait on that pullback to come back down. Because I told you I'm not buying high. I still got mine set way to the bottom. But I just needed to pull back because it's still like I want to start taking off. Do you think? Wait, let me see. Think if you need to mark it in. I don't want to mark it in because I don't want to like bring me up higher. Like I want a specific area, low bar. I'm trying to get in at, and then we got 12 seconds, but I still got 15 minutes. I still got 15. Damn it. Come on, man. Come on, man. Don't start shooting up that fast. Pull back. Please give me a pullback. Because I know what y'all trying. Let me see. Can we pull back down to 14 or 14.50? Something. I need a nice little pullback. I just don't want to buy highs, man. My contract already started shooting up. I was like, it's already in the sevens. I'm like, good God. Yeah, I mean, it totally blasted without me. Ah, man, come on, man. Maybe 550. I mean, I might have to just braise my thing up just a little bit. Because I don't think it's going to go back down that low. Maybe 550 on my contract. Yeah, it's showing 6, though. 650. Man, I still want to buy that. Man. Shit. Let me see. On a swing. I mean, but you understand. You're holding certain. But you got low boy. What you in on as far as your swing? What did you get in at? Because I mean, you in at a good area. You definitely in a good area. I mean, if you got in like on a low area of like 512, 513 or something like that. I mean, because now you're up to 514. I mean, so you got some good cushion. Your indicators are actually reversing. So I mean, you good right now. I paid 20. No. I mean, like you got it in a call or put. You got it in a call, right? Yo, see, I ain't getting in 24. See, I get in lows. I get in low areas that can run up to 24. Like I'll get into like maybe $7, $10 for the run up to like $15, $20, something like that. I do that. But I'm buying that high. I just buying low, let that bad boy run. See, and I use SPX, but I don't use the SPX ladder. I just go off of SPY. I do calls too, but I don't look at SPX ladders. I just go off of SPY. So if I see 514, I'm like, cool, 514. That's just how I do it. I'm different. I know I'm different. I'm totally different, but yeah. Son of a man, what about? I just want a nice pullback, man, before the damn clock go out, man. I'm just trying to get in, but I need to get in on a nice pullback, like at least back down to the VWAP. Something back down this way. Close back down to the 514 areas. Because 514 is definitely holding, but I want a little pullback. Just a quick pullback, something. Come on, man. Come on, give me just something. I'm not buying these tops. That's not happening. That's definitely not happening. Yeah, because like I said, I trade with SPX, but I just don't use the actual ladder, like to focus on as far as the price points. I just use I use SPY because I'm used to the prices. So all I do is trade off of, I trade with SPX, but I look at SPY's patterns. I look at SPY's charts. So if I'm trying to get in at 414, I'm just using SPX because it's gonna move the same exact way anyway. So that's basically how I'm doing it. I just use SPX because I'm used to the personality of it. I'm used to SPX. I mean SPY. But I just trade with SPX. But I use SPY's pattern. That's basically how I do it. And I'm just not getting my pullback yet. And I knew they was gonna hold back on top of 514. Oh, come on! I need a pullback. Shoot, give me a pullback. I love Active, man. I love that. That's my guy. I love Active. Shout out to Active, man. I'm just waiting on the pullback, man, because I would do a swing because I see the setup what they doing. I see the setup, but I want to pull back. I want to get in low because I want to get in the low 14s for the possible push up to the 516s, back up to the 518s. Because again, you got 5 million put contracts expiring, and they did that same pattern as they done before, that deep pullback, and then they'll hold on top of that trend line for a nice spike back on up. And man, I'm trying to grab it before the time goes out, but I haven't got a pullback yet. Oh, now I go. There we go. Head over my mouth. There we go. Oh crap! Come on, man. I should have known that was gonna happen because that happened too fast. God dog it. Now I just playing with my emotions, man. It just faked me. It looked like it was about to pull back and it shot back up. It got me. It got me. Oh, man. It got Active. You saw that. It pulled back and then it shot back up. It got me. It got me. I was ready to. I was like, yes. Then it shot back up. I was like, oh. Come on, man. Come on. Because I know the setup, what they doing. I know the setup, I'm telling you, because I broke it down earlier on what they was going to do, and I told y'all. I said every time it comes down to this trend line, it bounces. It pulls back down to the trend line, it bounces. What you think they was going to do today? Pull right down to that trend line and bounce it right back on up. And I should have caught it at the bottoms. I knew it. I should have jumped in the low areas. That's what happens. I just need a pullback. Okay, all right, here we go. Red candle. Here we go. All right, where we at? 514. All right, at least give me 514.50 or something. Come on. I got 10 minutes, guy. I mean, not guys, but SPY. Come on, pull back, because you're right there at the VWAP. Give me a little VWAP. Maybe a little VWAP touch around them little areas. Come on, secure it. Come on. 514.50, 514. There you go. Come on. Pull back. Don't you start taking off. Back down. Get away from 514, 15. Shoot. Come back. God dog it, I got my order still sitting here waiting. I'm still just sitting here. Man, but it's gonna have to make a hell of a drop because I had orders way down, so I don't know if it's gonna even go back down that low. Maybe 6. I might can move it up $1 maybe. What about? Let me see $1. Can we fall back down to $1 at least? All right, I'm gonna give it 6. I'm gonna say 6. I'll give it 6. All right, where we at right now? Are we pulling back? All right, give me a little pullback. Here we go. What time it is? All right, still got time. Come on. And by the time I do this, I'm gonna be giving y'all my shout outs team. I'm just trying to get in this pullback. It's like it just come on, man. Come on, man. Just do this for me, please. I know you want to pull back. Just pull back. Don't torture me. And y'all probably laughing over there. Don't laugh at me throughout my torture and my pain right now. Just come on. I believe in you. Come on. Just pull back. Just come on. I just don't know why I didn't get in earlier and I should have did it. But come on. There you go. Come on. 5. Stop acting, man. I'm trying to be serious, man. Oh, man. We almost there, though. Come on, man. All right, let me see. Look where my price is at. My price is at 730. I'm trying to get back at least down to 6. I got 8 minutes. And it's torturing me right now. I got 8 minutes, man. Come on, please. Just come on. It's just torturing me right now. The pain, and I'm glad. And y'all probably are laughing off of my pain right now, and I'm just waiting on this to come back down. It's like just one pullback, man. Come on. It just would not give me a pullback. It's like it's my time is gonna be up in about 7 minutes, and I'm just not getting the pullback right now. And the pain it's just torturous right now. I can't get my pullback. Come on, man. Just 514.50, 514. Just go back to the lows. Somewhere in the lows, please. Just come on, man. You killing me. And it's just sitting there teasing me too. It's just like ha 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 ha. Just giving me the finger. It's just like you can't get it. Like ha ha. You think we're going back down? We're going back up. I'm like, dude, come on. Just come on. Like stop playing with my emotions. Like just come on, man. I got 7 minutes. Stop torturing me. Just it's like it's teasing me. 514.88. It's like, dude, do you understand the torture I'm going through right now? My pain. It's like it's like a fine female and she look like, oh, there you go. Come on. All right. Are we in business? Oh, you dirty mo. Woo! It's just torturous. Dude, this is torture. It looked like it pulled back and it shot back up. This is foreplay right now. And y'all probably laughing, right? Y'all probably laughing at me right now. How the hell do you get foreplay from a stock? It's like it's teasing you, like, ha ha, I'm gonna show you a little bit. Just a little bit, little peek. Nope. The active you saying this is torturing me. It looked like it pulled back and then go back up. Man, come on, man. I'm dying over here. Y'all are probably laughing at the expense of my torture right now. And it just when I give me my pullback, it pulls back and it just gives me a tease. It's like, it's giving me so much foreplay. This is ridiculous. Like, come on, man. You just sitting there at 1480. All I need is at least 1450 to 14, around the 14s, the low 14s. It's like, Marty, shut up, man. I got 5 minutes, man. Come on. This is ridiculous. Man, give me a pullback. Dude, you don't understand the torture I'm going through right now. I'm so in pain right now. And y'all are laughing at me. And it's not funny. All I want is the low 1450s, around the 14s, and you can move right back on up. You can rotate your happy self back on up to the 15s, 16s. I don't care. Just come down. Just come on, man. Like, you. Y'all are enjoying this, man. This ain't funny. This ain't funny. Hey, y'all need to stop laughing at my expenses. I tried helping y'all out. I told y'all what a bounce was gonna be. Y'all should be saying, Jay, thank you. We feel bad that you're going through this torturous time right now of this foreplay. Thank you for giving us, these alerts on our position because, we made money. You didn't. And you still ain't got to your position. We feel bad for you. Just send some condolences or some love. You look ungrateful, mother. You ungrateful MFers right now. Y'all so ungrateful. I helped y'all out. Why y'all can't help me out by cheerleading me on, try to manifest this spy situation to pull down to what I want now. Can y'all manifest this for me? No, I'm not even in it. I'm not in. I was trying to get in. I've just been sitting here. And I got 3 minutes. I'm like, I might as well cancel my order. I might not even get it. And it's going to probably happen after hours when everything's closing. And after hours then ran on up. Then it's going to go down to what I want. Throwing it in my face. Like, ha, 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 ha. We got in when you couldn't get in. Ha, 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 ha. She says called manifestation. I'm trying to manifest it. I'm not showing off active. I can't even get in. And I'm not chasing it. It still ain't came down to my price point. But at the same time, I'm showing discipline. So you got to give me credit on that active. Because what I'm not doing, I'm not chasing it. I'm not allowing the temptation to make me have FOMO. and not running behind it. What am I doing? I'm sitting here because I have a price point that I want it to come down to my price point. And if I don't get it, cool. But I'm just dealing with some torture right now for like 2 minutes. So I'm just trying and hoping and wishing, lucky rabbit's foot, something. I'm just, if I don't get it, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'll just catch the movement tomorrow, but I was really trying to get in for today because I just seen the setup coming. My heart hurts. Spy did me dirty. Once 3:15 hit, I'm going to go to the headquarters. I'm going to give everybody a shout out, but, these 2 minutes is really killing me right now because I just cannot get a pullback to the area I want. It's just now it wants to just channel and stay stuck in an area. No more pullbacks for me. It just really want to run out the clock. But I bet $5 the minute that 4:15 hit. Then I bet $5 gonna put on to the area I wanted. So cold blooded. It's just so cold blooded. Look, one more minute. And look, watch. It ain't gonna do nothing. I got a minute left. I'm just watching. Heck, leave me alone. Watch the pain within a minute. I just want to see what it's gonna do. Watch, and I bet you after 5:15, then it's gonna start to pull back. It's gonna start to go to the areas I wanted. It's gonna just throw it in my face. It's gonna laugh at me. Ha 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 ha. What I got left? 30 seconds. You dirty. Spy's dirty. You a dirty birdie, bro. Like, you just dirty. You a dirty, dirty broad. You just one dirty, big buffet eating, can't fit into a car broad. You just dirty. You dirty broad. 7 seconds. You know what? It's over. All right, I'm going to the headquarters, man. I tried, team. Now watch. I bet you right now after I can't get in. Now watch, it's gonna start going down. Watch. Oh, it's about to start pissing me off. I can't win. I can't. But I told you what it's gonna do after 15. Boy, I tell you. Let me go to the headquarters. I'm getting away from Spy right now because it did that on purpose. All right, team. I'm about to head to the headquarters. Can't believe it just did that to me. Let's go, team. Yeah, we back, and I'm glad that you got to laughing in the expense of my pain and everything. Even though I helped y'all ungrateful butts out. No, I'm just kidding. It's all jokes. But nah, man, I went on to set up tomorrow. But I told y'all what it's gonna pretty much set itself up to do though. But I'll be on the lookout for tomorrow because now that we are holding this 415 level, do be on the lookout for the 416, the 418, and possible push the 520 level. As long as 415 holds, 514 holds. Can't even talk right now because it frustrated me. 514 level holds. So, about to go ahead and start giving my shout outs. We're going to be wrapping it up. We don't have no major economic data tomorrow. But we do have a lot of contracts expiring tomorrow. So do look for a lot of volatility to be doing this back and forth. So definitely be expecting that because we do have 4 million put contracts expiring on the 15th tomorrow and versus 909,000 call contracts expiring. So we're definitely going to be seeing a lot of activity tomorrow. So keep that on watch. So let me go ahead and give a shout out before I roll out. Let me go ahead to my YouTube team, my YouTube family first. Soccer King, G Money, Grand Gradan, I see you, boss. J24, Morty as always, my road dog, my right hand man. All right, let me go into my Tradecaster family. Actor Trader is always a pleasure, boss. Thank you so much for the things that you have done for me and for the community. Thank you so much. Even though you don't get a lot of love and appreciation, you're getting it from me. Shout out, boss. Thank you. Nate Trey, shout out to you, boss. Marty as usual. Low Bar. Who else we got? Golden Paquito, shout out to you. Mello, shout out to you, boss. Oh man, I just not seen your prediction on AMD. I'm so sorry. God dang, how I missed that. I do apologize. I was getting swamped with so many messages. I apologize, boss. I didn't even know he wrote me. I do apologize. Thunder, shout out to you, boss. Charlie Queen, I know you was in here. I'm gonna give you a shout out already. Gert, shout out to you. Lever, LVR, is it Lever? We'll figure it out. Who else? Kato, shout out to you. Nuno is always a pleasure. Boss, always a pleasure with you. Royal, shout out to you. Who else do we got in the building? Who else do we have before I roll on out? I think that should be it. Yeah, today's the 14th. I think that was it for the day. AK-47, always a shout out to you, boss, as well. Yep. So yeah, definitely be on watch out for tomorrow, guys. You already know we do not trade the whole entire market day. And Deckmore, shout out to Sean who puts everything together. Shout out to you, boss. And wasn't gonna forget about you. But do be on the lookout for tomorrow. Again, like I said, we will have a lot of volatility kicking in tomorrow, so do not forget about that because we're gonna have a lot of contracts expiring on the 15th, and most likely, and we're predominantly puts, which is at 4 million. So definitely keep that on watch because we're gonna be seeing a lot of rocking and rolling. But if you are going for calls, our main target, as long as you hold the 514 area, remember we're doing rotations. So you're going from 514, 516, 518, and preferably, and the target that we are trying to attend is 520. So definitely keep that on watch. Again, as long as the 514 market area holds. So shout outs to y'all. Congratulations to all who did trade, even though Spy just put me through some torturous hell just now, and I'm okay. I'll be all right. I'll wait for the pullback tomorrow, for the setup if we do get that squeeze. So, but again, thank y'all so much for being there for me. Thank y'all so much for supporting me. Y'all have changed me for the better, and I'm grateful and I'm blessed to be surrounded by great people on all platforms. And again, if you do love and get a lot out of my life, do feel free to subscribe, smash that like button, get the algorithms up and running, like, share, comment, do whatever you can to get the name out there. We're going to do as much as we can because I'm only, 300 subscribers away from getting my videos monetized, so that'll be another source of income, and the more income I get, I can help you guys out as well. So let's keep it rocking and rolling. Help me, help y'all. So we're going to do what we got to do. I will be back in tomorrow at 9:15 Eastern, 8:15 Central. But tomorrow being Friday, I will be in half a day instead of the full day. So pretty much from 9. I might come in a little bit early instead of 9:15. I might just go in at 9 to 12. So I have a full amount of live stream. So probably be in at 9 instead of 9:15. So I will be in though. But again, man, thank y'all so much for joining me, man. And I do hope everybody have a blessed night. And you already know what I'm about to say before I roll out. Maximize your reward, minimize your risk, put grateful over greed, and you will succeed every single time. I had a blast with y'all, team, and I hope to have a blast with y'all tomorrow. Till then, y'all have a blessed night. Peace.